pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need your roll, Greg.
Yeah, if you do roll call, please.
Right, Greg called the meeting to order, so roll call. Greg Felak.
Here.
Tom Tuzin.
Here.
David Hume.
Here.
Jack McLaughlin.
I'm here.
Cassandra Starks. She's not online, is she?
She is on Zoom.
Okay, I'm here.
Good evening.
Hi.
Have we got a motion on the agenda?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
I saw some discussion on it.
All right.
Okay. I'm not happy with a couple things. We're not seeing any of the sheriff's deputy reports. Certainly have not seen anything as far as a blotter that we've asked for 4 months ago.
Should we do the agenda first?
Go ahead.
Captain's right here. If I can get to my agenda motion.
All right.
You can bring them up and
You can ask those questions.
you can beat them up.
Okay.
All's in favor?
Aye.
All right. Public comments. Anybody in the room for public comments? Anybody online for public comments?
We have a couple folks online, but no one has raised their hand.
All right, third party reports and presentations. Crow. Mr. McDonald.
Hello, everyone.
Do we need
Aye.
do we need to play Hail to the Chief?
Not this time. Oh, that's true. I am president. I forgot. Hi, I'm Don McDonald. I'm the new president of Pro.
And the liaison, you're.
And the liaison to CDD. They thought it was appropriate since I spent much of my life in this room.
And there's everything.
Got on the board, he's already.
Was that before it leaked or after? As what? All right, I just wanted to kind of show up and say hi. Hi, how are you? It's good to see everybody.
Good seeing you.
Many familiar faces. One minor little thing. On your, and I'm supportive of all of the things you guys are doing moving forward, big projects and all. Can we catch up with you guys a little? We just like to catch up, because
I don't know, can you?
I don't know, but you may have to slow down because we're coming from so far behind. Because of previous boards. And we would like to catch up so that CROA and CDD and the county and all of us can work together, make this one big happy place with cool amenities and where we all kind of, and I love the fact that you guys want to do some things. I think that's awesome. I've been a proponent of CDD and CROA working together since I was on CROA, before I was on CDD, before I was on CROA. So if that's a possibility, boy, I would really like to just have it slow down a bit so the master plan task force can catch up and we can put all this stuff on the same big plate and make cool stuff.
And I think
That's
we
all I
have,
have.
and I think we have,
An agenda item?
yeah, I think we
Yeah,
have.
that's what I saw those.
Discussed that, so
Let's,
we will
yeah,
discuss.
cool, guys. Thank you all, madam, ladies,
Can I
gentlemen.
make a suggestion too?
Yes.
I had sent the idea invitation to you, but certainly discussion on our board, well, I think we left it open-ended. The last joint workshop we had with you guys about 8 months ago. Probably time again.
Uh-huh.
And
Yes.
certainly there's a lot of discussion around master planning. I think that
We would like, I mean, the sense of the board is, and I'm a big fan of the sense of the board, that we really want to get to where the master plan task force is ready to present. And then kind of bring the whole thing together.
so I haven't followed your discussions lately. Was it the intent of your board to try and roll your master planning group into our charrette process? Or to run those separately?
We'd like to, currently they're running separately and we're gonna continue that just because of the way they were set up. But we would like to have some sort of process of liaising those things together.
Well, I think that,
In the summer, when master plan will be done until the summer.
do you guys anticipate doing any big surveys before that? Because that was really where the discussion was from us of merging your group in with the charrette process was in community surveys and.
If, there's, again, I've been 3 weeks on the board now, 4 weeks on the board. There's a survey in process somewhere. Where exactly it is.
So and the only reason I think that's an excellent point for the surveys. We really don't want to hit the community.
I agree.
Once
Yeah,
because they'll lose.
yeah.
they'll lose interest and then you're not gonna, so I think maybe trying to balance that, but I don't think we're at that point yet either, so I think.
Yeah, we have
I
not,
just saw it as an agenda item, so.
we have not formally, we have created a down select onto a company of one. We haven't signed the contract yet because we're still waiting on some actions from the school district, which we'll talk about in CIPCOG as well. So it's, I think you and I are, you and us are both having the same issues of, are we getting the right dominoes falling at the right times? And some of them are going a little bit out of sequence. But that's where my personal opinion is, I think the sooner we did a joint meeting with you, even if that joint meeting were not to come to conclusions on things, but simply to identify, here's where Crow is at, here's where CDD's at.
I see.
And I think we're gonna find some places where we're
I
off, but
see absolutely no downside to having multiple.
at least that way, because I think some of them may be you guys slowing down as well from your master planning group, again, to kind of align where we're at in the charrette process to, if we wanna maximize.
Yeah,
the
if we
connectivity.
need to move a little more slowly, that would be great, but I thought we were getting way behind. Just from what I've been hearing and reading, I thought, oh, well, we're in trouble, so far behind.
This coordination scope is contained in both the master planning consulting scope as well as the project management scope we're going to discuss.
So if, are you?
So yes, we are very amenable to join.
If you're able to stick around the whole meeting, I think you're gonna
Yeah, I can.
find a lot of value in some of these, and it'll probably help calibrate that.
Thank you all very much.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
The only other thing I did have for Crow, just a short one, I got an email from Lauren today, you have your condo council meeting on the 11th of April, Jack, do you,
What time is that gonna be?
5 P.M.?
Yeah, it's at 5 p.m. I think.
On the 11th, I've got a Veterans Club meeting that night too at 6 p.m., same building.
So you can talk fast.
So I'll talk for about a half hour, but I'm gonna be over there at the Veterans Club too.
So I'm sure that, I don't know what the agenda is of the condo council, but I'm sure they can.
Okay,
work around.
It didn't strike me from Lauren that there was a grand to do, I think it was kind of a
No.
reset, new board, new.
It's just a
Like-
sitting of the.
Yeah.
Just sitting with the new board.
okay, I'll be there.
You don't get to charge
I
mileage
hope
for
it's
that.
this 8:51.
8:51. Thank you all.
Anything else from Mr. McDonald? Corporation,
I'll-
Jan, are you?
Yeah, I'll lead off on this one. We finally had a talk with the BJM Consulting Company and basically got our attorney who's handling this with him to get the comments. He sent this back on Friday and said, I think he said in his email, presented to the board, but it's not ready to be presented.
It looks like there's some things that are missing.
Yeah, there's things missing. I still have questions, and I know she had a number of things that are in here that didn't apply with the statute. So this is just a little bit early, so if anything jumps out at you, let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna let her put her comments in, and I've got one or two things that I see that I'm not clear on his conclusions.
Okay. Do you anticipate, I know we wanted a kind of final community presentation out of this. Is that,
I think we should present it to the board first, make sure everybody's has no questions, and then do a committee.
I have one question on this, when we're doing this. Are we timing it for this to go to a vote at any point?
It's just, there's a schedule in there recommended for it.
Well, no, I understand that, but are we going towards this November?
No.
No, it's
No.
2026.
Yeah, we have to get somewhere in the legislature to pass our.
And that's fine, I just didn't get concerned because I thought we're trying to find.
but I also thought the expectation, and this was kind of an open variable, I thought the expectation was because we had what's the phrasing, non-favorable report,
Mhm.
that we may not even have to take it for a vote.
Well, we have to put it out to the legislation, to the committee to see if there would be legislation. They may say absolutely not. We see nothing in here that makes us feel like we should propose this as a city.
So it
So that's
goes
the
to the
first step.
legislature first, and if it dies in
Goes
the
to our-
legislature, we don't do it.
It goes to our local delegation.
Okay.
And so if it could die right there and then it doesn't go to referendum.
Can I ask you a question? In reading this, I got no sense of the thought that Crow is not gonna contribute any of their parks or anything like that to this
That-
program.
That's
So
one of the big
That's
things
one of
that
the
was missing.
missing,
He
yeah.
took
That-
pro
that's
out,
what-
but he
that's
didn't
what's not
put
even
anything
there.
in its
Right.
place.
Yeah, you gotta balance that, figure out if that's not included.
So to me, that the whole report is a waste of time right now.
I think Jan would agree with it.
I would go that far, but it did leave out, because we told them, don't put this pro funding and we don't know, but it did leave out, it just says that we would merge in some respects. But I
That's the
think we
Or
need to,
distinction that wasn't mentioned.
I think that needs to
Since
definitely.
we've been 3 or 4 spin cycles on this one, do we have a point where we're doing an in-person meeting? Dave is the liaison and you and me, like that. I'm glad that you've at least got him on the phone, but I feel like
We've tried to have a couple Zooms with him, it just didn't work, but we can try one more time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why didn't it work? Somebody canceled it. Why didn't they? I don't remember. Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, we're trying to get it done, I mean, I just wanna get this done, and
oh, I know you are, I just
and
feel like.
twenty
this-
twenty-six is sort of, that's our drop dead, and so we really need to get it done by this fall.
That is
the
all
latest.
that's involved.
So we can get time to see if this really could be legislation, because we want to hit next legislative session 2025 if it really does go. to legislation.
Any other questions on the corporation? Now, Jeff, call you officer of the county sheriff.
I would like
Captain
to
Callis,
ask
come on
you,
up, sir.
you know, this agenda here, we didn't see any sheriff reports at all, which surprised me. And the other issue is months ago, we talked to the sheriff and we asked about getting a blotter. And he said, oh, no problem doing that. Well, that's 3 or 4 months ago. We've seen nothing.
What, excuse me?
Blotter, a report of the incidents that have occurred in Celebration on a monthly basis.
Okay. I could get it to you tomorrow, first thing in the morning. That would be a problem.
Because I know, and I think in the transition meeting, where we had you and Captain Wilkinson were in, I know there was discussion about getting that on a recurring monthly basis. And whether or not we needed to get one of the details to do it, or somebody on staff like Jerry Weiland or one of the services guys could do it just as part of their regular duty. There was kind of an open-ended question, but we never
Never
closed it.
Is there a time of the month that you complete that blotter that we could have that established as the date you'll send it to us?
You want us, a report of the calls that we, for service that we get here at Celebration.
Yeah,
Right?
on a monthly basis.
On a monthly basis. On a monthly basis.
Yeah.
I think it was actually asked back in November.
It was
I don't know
way
how
before.
that's gonna work though, because now. I could probably work on that, but the detail deputy, I mean, I don't think they'll be able to do that.
We're not looking for addresses or anything like that. We're just looking for what's occurred here.
We used to go ahead and get a blotter with the, I think it was with the
It
applicant,
did.
and he would say what the nature of the call was, this, that, whatever, and, you know, and so. And that gave us an understanding of, you know, to put concerns to rest, because a lot of the stuff is, you know, look, it was battery. I'm like, well, somebody got pushed at the high school. You know, it wasn't what we consider battery, so to speak, right? If it would, somebody got, was a physical fight or something. But we used to get that, and everybody who comes up here says it's no problem to go ahead and get that too. And until we try to get it, and then it's a problem.
So Don,
So I don't know.
was that Jerry who was running those? Because that was a couple years.
No,
ago.
that was Andy,
Yeah, Andy did it
Andy Lang.
long before Jerry was here.
Yeah,
They ran those out.
long before.
There wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
Who's Mandy Lane?
Andy Lang.
Andy Lang
He
was-
started out as
was the
a
captain
sergeant, then
for this
became
district.
captain.
Okay, he was patrolling, wasn't like.
No, he became captain too.
Well, let's just get, how about you can pull, if you can
That
pull
was
a
a long
report
time.
at a moment's notice, just hit print on a particular day and send it to Angel, right? Let's get a process.
Yeah. I try to work with you, but it's not just pushing a button and saying, hey, send the reports for Celebration. Things that we gotta separate. No different than today. Today's school was down. There was no way we could get any report done today. And I know you've been asking this for 4 months, but it's not just push a button and we send it. Whatever we push is just for Celebration. We gotta separate everything from the county, from the website. So it's not just, we have to create a whole report just for the calls for service here. It's not just,
Can you do it by, can you put it on a map, or you put a zip code in, or what's, I don't know how your system.
no, yeah, we can, but it's not just,
Is it done by zone?
you search Celebration and that's it. No, it's a lot more than just that, because Celebration, it could be 192 and Celebration Avenue. You know, It's not just the internals, everything surrounding that too as well. And the way we look at things also is by zones, and the zone celebration is not just celebration, it's around all that. So, but,
I wonder how they did it before.
Well, even if we get more information than
well,
just here.
We did
I'm
get-
Trying to make it easy.
Yeah, we did get zones 21, was it 21, 22? Is that our zones? Those are the two zones that we got. Except 22 was never filled. It's always 21 covering both zones.
so. The cabin that they're talking about, was here a long time. But, okay. I don't wanna keep telling you I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna get that. Tomorrow morning we'll work on that, and you will have the report. Hear me out, you will have the report when you have your meeting. If I'm not here, I'll send a deputy here with a report.
Okay, thank you.
Can I get your name for the record real quick, so Brenda had
Deputy
it?
Calvis. Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Or did you have anything for us?
No.
Like Jack's got,
One
Jack-
more question.
Jack's got one
One
more.
more question.
You should see, you should have taken the opportunity.
You should have ran this, or knows I do.
Months ago, we asked for a definitive yes or no, or maybe about motorized scooters on the sidewalks. What is the real
So,
skinny on that?
that's a bit of there's a lot of confusion when it comes around motorized vehicle. That's not, it's an electric bicycle. So we're still gathering, because I had my patrol guys on my traffic unit, has come out twice. And even then, here, they told me that most of the problems is actually traffic, it's not a bikes. Probably when they were there, that's not what they saw, so
Well,
I'm
we,
getting,
I mean, I'll tell you, I was in so every month, the K8 has the school advisory council, and Deputy Plaza sits in the SRO. He wasn't in there, but his report was, the principal was paraphrasing, and he said he's back to the point where he's not even sure, but he would love to figure out how to ban those things. And they're just looking at the school property, but there's so many people that are riding into school, whether they're, and it's not just whether they ride on the sidewalk or ride on the street, it's how they're riding. Are they doing it recklessly? Are they doing it without helmets? They're running through crosswalks, things like that, running through stop signs. So that's, like I said, I know you and I've talked about, I would absolutely talk to Plaza and the SROs, because they are seeing things that I know you guys aren't hearing or seeing on patrol, but they are absolutely seeing it at the schools.
so the next thing that we were gonna do is talk to the SROs, especially with Deputy Plaza, to educate the kids in school, because that wouldn't even be trafficking. Again, traffic, bringing traffic here. People were also complaining about, hey, we live here, now we getting a ticket.
Yep.
So. It's,
That's
but doesn't make any difference.
so
If that's my way out of it, use that one all day.
some other things were, and I told you I was gonna do that quarterly as well, so,
No, I appreciate you guys jumping out on that. I mean, just doing the enforcement piece, but it's just, I think part of it too, and Jan, I know.
Yeah, I've got emails to your council.
Alex
asking-
Card.
Asking if, they've got a summary of what it is that's enforceable.
And I really go back and say, and I know I've said this a dozen times, I feel like that's half of it is just, you can get a one-page cheat sheet that we can help distribute around the community that is simple and understandable and is not 17 pages of Florida statutes that go like this past each other. To the extent you can distill those down into something that the common public can read and understand. And we can use that, SROs can circulate it at the schools. We can certainly put it up on our Facebook page. I'm sure Crow would do the same thing and say, hey guys, here's what the rules are. We don't enforce the rules, but at least in the community, here's what the rules are. Because a lot of the problem is not just kids that are riding unsafely. A lot of it is people making assumptions that kids are riding unsafely or doing things illegally, which they're not. They've got a right to ride these scooters around.
no, our statute also says a bit about the speed, right? At what speed does it become a violation? Well, when these kids out there, they're not in speed. So.
Well,
we have a
that's not correct. So, 3 or 4 months ago, the sheriff deputies on bikes and on motorcycles tried to go ahead, and these guys were fast enough to get away. So they are not speeding when they see you. They know exactly what to do. They're extremely arrogant.
I think Fred Hinderman even said one ran on him.
39 miles an hour.
Is that, when he was working on those?
So my concern is that like with the water, that it's been over 6 months for both of these. We're still where we started.
Yeah.
So either we drop it or we escalate this.
I mean,
because
I would say at the end of the day, my position is it's not ours. I mean, we don't own scooters.
I understand that, but
The community.
I
is
guess I want to hear.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do anything about it. I guess maybe that's what I want to hear, not us, but like from the sheriff's office, because it just seems like we keep bringing this stuff over and over again, and just, I don't know, I'm kind of tired of talking about it.
Well,
We're not getting anything
it's, our position as the board, and I'm sure Don will probably tell you this, the community beats us up over stuff that should be coming to the sheriff's office, or should be going to the county, or should be going to Congress, or whatever else. They come to us about it,
He's right.
because they're expecting that we are working with you guys to try to solve something. And listen, if some of the answers on these things are, hey, listen, there isn't a solution.
That's okay too.
That's okay too. We just need to hear that. So we can put that back to the community and say the answer we got from the sheriff's department is.
I mean, you guys could be in a bind.
Yeah, we just want an answer. If the answer is nothing we can do about it, then put it in a memo and send it. Yeah. We just want an answer,
I just told you, this.
which is you can't do anything about it.
I told you I was gonna get one.
Oh, no, not the plotter, I think he's talking about scooters.
Yeah, but scooters, like
Well, the scooter, again, I'm talking to SROs, try to educate those guys, but unless you have somebody 24/7, or a detailed deputy there at all times, patrol is not gonna be there all the time. But it's just impossible for us to be there
I mean, we have put it
all
to,
day. We just,
I've asked Angel to put it to the details when they're out, you're riding, don't just focus on cars. Focus on kids on bikes, and if we need to shift the detail times to be around, there are hotspot times, right? It's when school's coming in, when school's going out. It's Friday night at 7 o'clock downtown. It's the same kid riding up, and that's the thing is like most other things, it's not 100 kids, it's 5. It's the same 5 kids. So to the extent we can focus those details there, absolutely we'll do that.
I know, I haven't seen any of that on the detail request. So I haven't seen anything about the scooters or any
Okay.
adjustment on the times either, so I don't.
Brenda, if you're on the line, I know I talked to Angel about it. I know she's not on tonight. Can you make a note, please, to get with Jacinia in the morning to make sure that we've got it noted on the details that we're absolutely looking for enforcement on scooters. I know I put that out, but it didn't come through. Let's make sure we're reading it now.
Yes.
Let's,
Sure.
just one thing. I know we're talking about enforcement, but enforcement of what? This has been our crux of our question.
that's what we've got.
We don't have.
For
an
6
answer.
months. We don't know what we're enforcing. We need a guideline or statute. Whatever the sheriff is comfortable putting on paper that says, here are the rules in regards to other, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what the classifications, other motorized
Yeah,
vehicles.
I wrote to Alex Card once or twice, I didn't follow up this week because I'm bugging him on something else this week.
So we just want an answer.
Could they, yeah,
You
because
did talk to Alex Carr?
I've emailed him,
Okay.
not heard back.
Okay.
Yeah, just sort of a one, because when you go through, it looks like part of the statute, the motor vehicle statute covers it, but then the other part of the statute doesn't, so we just need to know what is it. that we
Three
want.
conflicting statutes.
And Captain Calvis, I'm gonna take a look right now as we're talking and make sure whatever email Jan sent, I'm gonna pull it back up and reply on there and add you on there.
I'll talk to, Mr. Carr as well.
Okay, thank you, and I'll send a reminder to him tomorrow, I sent him something else this week, so I didn't wanna
We-
overburden him.
Right, so for the 6th time, can we just get a response for next meeting? That's whatever it is, guidelines or statutes or whatever the sheriff's comfortable putting on paper.
Yes, sir. You'll have it.
Thank you, cool.
I'll work on that this month, I know, that tomorrow I'll work on the stats as well, the report.
Thank you.
And, if there's no template on it, I'll make one, I'll make one. Okay,
Thank
for the whole zone, 21.
All right.
And I can't find your email, so I'm just gonna send you an email, Captain Calvis, if you can
Okay, I'll add him tomorrow
You
morning,
can
so
add
I'm
him
gonna
on.
forward it.
do this now before I forget. Perfect. All right,
Greg,
if it's possible, we got Solitude here.
Yeah.
Sure.
We're done with.
are we okay?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Captain Calvis.
Thanks, Ken.
All right, if we wanna throw Solitude, everybody's okay with that, move them up?
Yeah, I'm always a big fan of getting people here in the audience to
Yeah.
say their piece.
There you go.
We appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah. Well, you met Alan before. I'm Kevin Whittle. I'm the new district manager for Central Florida Solitude Lake Management. Yes, that'd be great. That'd be great. I'll let Alan take over and talk a little bit about what's been going on. I know there was a couple requests that came in with service and whatnot, and then we can talk a little bit more afterwards.
Yes, so I think the inspection report that went out the middle of this month, there was 6 sites that were identified in it. 4 of those issues, I think, have been pretty much completely resolved. There's still 2 ponds that have some grasses and some duckweed out. Fighting a lot of duckweed for the last probably 2 months.
To get specific, do we know which 2 are still outstanding?
It's I think SV1 and East Lawn.
Okay, Spring Lake and East Lawn.
Yeah.
Got it.
Where's this picture from?
This is back in the Keeler.
That's back in the, yeah, Quill, where the, called like the little fishing dock, not
Yeah.
the fishing dock, but the one that goes all the way across it.
Angel and I've gotten.
To the side of his house and to the back of his house.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next.
Yeah.
But the Spring Lake and the East Lawn are the 2 that still need some attention. We'll be out here tomorrow to get another treatment on those, for the next 10 days.
So on the Spring Lake one, this is gonna be the pond, just like the pond across the church, it's starting all over again. How do we clean this up? Now, I know stuff has already been sprayed. But, waiting a couple months to clean it up. A challenge for the residents.
Are you referring to like is the grass mats that are out there? Or
It's just the green
algae.
The green algae that's there.
I mean, we should be able to get rid of the algae and the duckweed in 10 days at the most. It should be gone.
Okay. So, but my concern is after 10 days, we're like, wow, this is not good. That's the question.
Okay.
Because it's not that I'm expecting to have clear lakes everywhere because it's just impossible. It's Florida, it's nature, I get it. But some of the stuff has gotten to be so bad, I'm like, it didn't happen.
Yes.
So that's my biggest concern.
No, if there's stuff that's lingering around that, we give it 10 days and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. We need to get in there and break it out or get a machine in there and scoop it out. And
That's probably what I'm looking at.
That's something.
That's probably what I'm looking at for that one. But the giant island over here, where's this one?
Yes.
That's a Keeler.
Well, I'm
We can all talk about.
so I'm just kind of curious on this one because we had the one in front of Marisol, and I'll get to that one in a moment. But the one in front of Marisol at that time, we did inspections everywhere, and there were none. But this one seems big enough to have been there already, because that's big.
We're talking about the Gila one or still the Spring Lake?
I'll kill it.
Okay. Big. Yeah, I mean, we looked at those this morning, we met Russ over there, and I don't know. It's just a difficult area with how shallow it is. I mean, I think they were supposed to be, planted, beneficial littoral areas. So can't just go in there and clear them out.
They were supposed to be, so are they not, or they were and they died, or there's something else? What does that mean?
Some of the plants that they planted in there, the dahlia, it dies in the winter. Or, yeah,
dormant.
It goes dormant or dies in the winter time, and that's all the brown that you see. There's some new green growth that's coming up.
See that?
Yeah.
But that's in the middle of the pond, though, right?
It's off on the side, on the west side, I guess, northwest side. But what Alan was talking about there, when the engineer designed those sites, that was a designated littoral zone. And they put those plants in there for a reason. And like we were talking about Mr. Russ this morning, we were able, the homeowners actually came out and talked with us a little bit too. But the problem is with that, you do have to have some sort of vegetation in there. It's
It's
actually
like the back, it's the back pond.
It's just,
It's like really high level.
As you go into Aquila, it's on the back right, there's the little bridge that cuts across.
No, I know where that
Yeah.
is. It's probably that back area.
But it's
Right on
behind
the
the
corner.
bridge.
That all, and just, you know, that place dries out a lot.
and
it's
that's the next.
just steep in some areas. It's
Yeah,
meant to
it-
be that deep. Unfortunately, in hindsight, one of the tutorial shelves should have been put on the other side of the boardwalk, away from the guy's house, and the other one in the back should have been on the other side of the pond, but he just happens to be right in the corner of two tutorial shelves.
So
And it's been a problem, it's been an ongoing problem for, how long's Aquila been there?
Yeah.
20 years, so it's about every 2 or 3 years. These are new neighbors, I think, are living here now, so we've dealt with the old. Every once in a while, we just knock it down a little bit more, but I mean, we're supposed to have
Yeah.
vegetation there.
Well,
Now, the cattails got a little bit probably out of the way, a lot of the brown stuff, but the other one on the other side of the house, it's all natural vegetation.
can I
Supposed to be
ask
there.
our engineer if we can modify those littoral shelves into something with steeper slope?
can,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you can.
no, you can ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible, we probably could repermit it
Mhm.
and then relocate them somewhere else.
You'd be looking
That's
at,
expensive.
what kind of expense is that?
No, that's expensive.
So something we talked about today, maybe in between there is a buffer around it, and we talked about maybe maintaining that buffer, so that 15-foot buffer. Now, you just mentioned it goes dry in the winter.
It does.
This year's though. Yeah, it typically goes dry, so that's gonna be dry soil and sediment there, which may have a little bit of an odor. But that is a in between, I guess, as, yeah, and aside from restructuring and redoing the plan.
That's how it was
site.
designed. And so
Correct,
that's
yeah.
why I'm kind of getting to. What can we really do here if it was designed that way?
Yeah, better.
Different.
Yeah, something that looks better and doesn't get, something smelly and.
What the problem is that, let's say we got rid of it.
Got rid of what, the shelf or the vegetation?
The vegetation, the island thing in the middle. Let's say we got rid of it. I'm not saying I want to. I'm just saying, let's say we, for example. That smell is still gonna be there, the way it's laid out. It's just nature. That's just the way it's designed. Is it opportune for the residents there? No, it's designed that way. When you get to the other part of the lake on the other side of the bridge walkway thing, you got more water. No, they don't have that issue. It's on that other side where it's just, you know, and you smell it. So,
Here's a solution,
oh,
which I've used elsewhere, which is you put a surface well and fill it up. Wells are not expensive. Keep the water level elevated. Cover the smelly stuff, is what.
I don't think, I could check tomorrow, I don't think the pond's down all that much.
If it's a water level issue, say.
no, it's not a water level issue and it's just nature. There's not much we can do. There's no fragrance we can make it better, right?
Okay, so I'm hearing one possible idea, the one that Jan asked though, is there something else we could plant there that would, if we get different landscape there, would it absorb some of the smell and cover some of the stuff or no?
You could potentially plant something that doesn't go as dormant, like in the winter, so you wouldn't have all that brown stand out.
Yes, but the organic, it's not the plants themselves that smell, it's the organic matter,
Right.
the sediment,
Right.
so.
I didn't know if the plants would absorb some of the.
And it does, yes, sir, it absolutely does, and it is, I mean, everything that's in there is doing a good job of that right now.
Right.
To Alan's point, yeah, you could do like some sort of Sagittarius, something like that, but.
Does it smell all year long?
I've been back there fishing and noticed it not smelling.
I didn't notice.
Probably when you-
I mean, it smells more, yeah.
I don't live there.
Yeah.
Probably when you get more rain, more water movement through there, it kind of helps flush it out, but I mean, there's been a lot of stagnant.
Other stuff too.
Most of the time, there's gonna be stagnant water.
Yeah, it's stagnant.
Alright, so is it a candidate for an aerator?
It's not deep enough.
Not in that
Yeah,
area.
not those areas. It's not deep
And I
enough.
think the other side actually had it.
What is it that the homeowners?
They also,
The ask,
they also,
What is it they were complaining about?
It's the unsightliness, it's the smell, it's all of
they also brought up about mosquitoes and encephalitis and this and that.
Well,
Yeah, well, I'm just saying,
No, I know.
why did they never bring it up?
But
Jan, I'll forward you.
this was mosquito penguin, right?
All of Florida's mosquito catching.
What's the name of the county though?
And,
Next thing you know,
and
you'll
it's,
say
we
we
know it's
gave
sprayed so much.
I would suggest if we do plant anything on the back of the house, that we kind of use some of the stuff that's on the side of the house, because it's all mixing. You know, more of the variety of them, you might do with pickleweed and this.
yeah, a lot of rush. There's like 4 different species of
Was it-
rush in there.
Better anyway.
We could do
A
that.
little bit of that was in the back of the. That would take off. So it's like,
So my suggestion would be, Dave, if you wanna take the next little bit and explore your well idea, I don't know.
if that's the issue, I mean, what additional water coverage, I'm assuming that would help at least with the smell, because I just realized from like, mud flats, those are supposed to smell, but when they're covered with the ocean, they don't smell.
And there's probably what, 6 or 8 inches more water than.
I will
Oh, so, and I-
tomorrow on the level.
And when we first
Alcohol.
came, she did mention that the smell is subsided right now, and I'm assuming that's because the water level has increased since, I don't know when the original email had come in, but maybe it had risen some since then. But today when we were out there, I mean, there was a faint odor, but no, I mean, the way she was describing, I mean, just hydrogen sulfide, you're just typical anoxic environment in the soils there. One thing we were talking about earlier that we could try as well, in addition to that buffer, I mean, we do have different bacterias we could use, and just when we're here next on that side, we could try to put some sort of bacteria in there to basically break down that organic matter a little bit.
So question one, I think you answered, which means you can't regrade it. It's there for a reason. That we probably go through unless we put it somewhere else. But number two, we might have to look this up. Is there a requirement to actually have plantings there, some sort of mitigation?
There could be, you have to look at the original planting plan. Get a copy of
So
that.
we'd have to know if we're also from a maintenance perspective of that, whether there's a requirement at the littoral shelf that have planting for mitigation. That's how it's. If there's no, then we have the option of not only raising the water level, but not planting at all, contribute. Again,
Because that could be
To the
good.
application, the littoral zones are really a function of depth. You don't have to plant them on every project, but here it may have been.
It was designed.
To be
Yeah.
used.
well, from an aesthetic purpose, some aesthetic plans don't work out in real life. But sure,
They don't.
so if there's a requirement, that's one thing. If it's just because it was the landscape architect's
That's the
idea of
difference.
something pretty, it's something.
I agree.
So I think we just, in order to address this, number one, take a look at the permit and see what's required. And if there aren't plants required there, then we just do the whole thing.
Can't the planting, if we wanted to, could we apply for change to the permit? It's not like a wetland, I mean, we can
And
do
it's
it,
re-permit, it's a pain in the butt.
you can do it with tree, I mean, is it the same thing as a tree process and change
No.
the trees?
No.
Totally different.
It's a water management.
Yeah.
So,
So see if we need to plant something there. If we don't, then we can eliminate all of the organics, especially in the back. Yep. And then, if we have a problem with the water level separately, we can look into a way, no bigger than a 4-inch well, because those don't need permits. And any well driller can go in there, pump a well, and then, you just put a floater on it so that once it gets to a certain level, it's pumping.
But what I'm hearing though is there's some things we can do, but we're not looking at 100% fix. I think it's just important to communicate to them.
Well,
We're not really sure yet.
what do you mean? What's the 100% fix?
We don't
That
know.
we're not doing.
Well, let's see, no smells, no mosquitoes, there's a lot of no's.
No, that's 100%. If I get the water level up and I don't have to plant it.
There'd be no mosquitoes.
Well, you have a higher water level, if you have enough water.
Abbott Costello, we can let's figure out first what we can and can't do.
Who's Abbott and who's Costello? I'm taking that.
I mean, I can,
I just think it's
Yeah.
important to communicate to the homeowner.
especially since they've had it out for a while.
And realistic stuff. I just want to set expectations.
I will respond back on the thread. Russ, I'm gonna add you on. Oh, no, you are in here. I'm sorry. I'm gonna respond back and simply go as a topic of the board meeting. We hear you. We understand. We're taking what can be done. Obviously, there's restrictions on slip mud and blah, blah, blah. And we've got staff working at it. Just to let them know that it's getting attention. And that's the best review.
I agree.
Good.
Cool. What else we got for our gentleman for solitude?
Is that the only place we need to talk about this particular condition?
So I'm aware of.
The only other one I had was, and if Angel was here, I know she was working on this one, was, Mirasol, was the dredging of Mirasol. Where we were with that.
I believe we presented a proposal to do that. We're just talking about the additional site to dredge.
No, this was the site that was already
It was
built,
already dredged.
and it came back like a week later.
It's not very big.
Yeah.
compared to what it was.
No, that can be addressed tomorrow as well. I'll walk out there and see if it's.
Canyons on Water Street.
Yeah, so I'm not sure we had a proposal on the Canal Lilies.
Kind of filling in just a few.
I know you guys had a proposal on that.
Wasn't much.
Yeah, and I think we were weren't there some areas?
There was the Water Street Canal
Right, we're missing some.
that, like, maybe some of the original plannings, didn't make it. So we're talking about replacing those. And then
Then you
the
want-
other big canal needed some new plants to
Right.
fill in some bare areas. But yeah, I know Angel has that proposal.
Okay, all right, so we'll follow up with her. That was the only one.
Everyone, if I did receive the proposal for the canna plantings and I asked Angel about putting it on the agenda and she said no. And I can't give you the reason as to why or why not, but yes, you are correct. We do have that proposal.
Okay, we'll follow up. Yep. My last comment, going back to Spring Lake. So I had a layer of algae, we're treating it, 10 days later, if it's not working or it still looks bad, we come and rake it manually, extract whatever's on top, right?
Yes.
As part of our budgeting process, I'm trying to get a list of ponds that potentially might need aeration. Is that one of them?
I don't know. I know, I believe you guys also have a updated aeration proposal for us, or for you guys from us. That's got another 10 or 12 ponds that we surveyed and recommend aeration on. But I don't know exactly which ones we did. I mean, we did those surveys based on kind of what we've seen over the last year, the ponds that can be giving us the most trouble. So I'm thinking that one might be in there, but we'll have to look at that.
Yeah, we're looking confirm.
Yeah.
Onward.
Nothing further.
Yeah, anything's good. Anything else? Something as I go around looking around, introduce myself, do you have any hot button areas? Please lay it on us. Is there anything right now, if the contract was up for renewal, is there anything that sticks out to y'all that will keep y'all from doing that?
It's gonna be, in my mind, starts in the next 30 days when our ponds start turning green. Everything just like overnight just goes.
Yeah.
And I realize there's limitations on how many times you can treat and what you can treat and all that kind of stuff, but the proactiveness of, there's that window where, again, I'm not a pond guy, but get it while it's small before it turns into big, because once it's big, then it's taken 3 weeks to kill stuff off and it looks like death and it smells like death and we don't hear anything but comments about deaths from ponds.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add is when we've had issues like on Water Street, started doing Water Street. I think back, or at least proposals were back last February. It takes a very long time when we notice okay, things are planted and we're seeing issues. It literally is 2 months a begging to go ahead and get it done. It'll eventually get done, but there's a lot of begging that happens, and everyone's busy, so we figure when the request goes in, we expect requests to get done in a timely basis, and we have to follow up, 2 or 3 times you know, as much as I like talking to Angel, I can't keep reminding her. She goes, yep, I called him again. You can't keep doing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We want to be on the front of it. I appreciate that feedback. Cause yeah, we pride ourselves in being proactive and getting turnarounds to y'all, you know, within 48 hours, we should have an update for y'all to say, at least, oh, we'll have it by Monday morning, you know, that will be on those desks. Yeah, there's no reason not to.
Yeah, because we did the walk around about a little over a month ago and for like the areas around Marisol and Water Street. And it still was a long time afterwards, so they actually got done, the things was getting cut, so. Again, with ponds would be also just the time it takes to actually get it done once it's done.
I thank y'all for that. That's, you know, like I said, we pride ourselves service with a smile. This feedback is perfect. That helps us get better. So, cool. Absolutely. Thank you.
We did give staff permission, I remember after last summer's challenges, that hey, if there's a pond that has just gotten wildly out of control, they don't need to wait to come back to another board meeting, because we only meet every 30 days. If there needs to be a mechanical scraping, I know that's not ideal. And usually you want to let the treatment take. But
Right.
sometimes, you know, we've had one or two instances that I've been on that it's gone wildly out of control, that we need to get to that scrape. So
Immediately.
yeah, Angel and Russ do have that permission to get with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if y'all ever want to do a ride around, you can do the walk around. We're happy to join, bring the golf cart, whatever it is. We're more than happy to do ride arounds as well with y'all.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, consent agenda, do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
I have discussion.
Any guys discussion?
Oh,
For the first time in a little while, I looked at the financial statements and I
Oh,
noticed
that's right.
we've got some 100% or more spent certain money. And this might be for somebody else to answer.
Could you please repeat that, Dave? What did you say?
I think it was insurance. Why don't
Angel's already.
Insurance is
Sold it.
paid all at one time at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, but it was over the budget.
Well, and I know she said insurance costs had gone up.
Correct. They have, yes. Which is why the insurance company told us they would have a proposal in April so that we could start our budget planning early, because it did bust our budget.
So we're at 140% on general liability. So I guess we did a bad job of estimating out how much insurance is going to go up.
Do we know, Jan, was some of that driven when claims come in? Do we get extra? I'm trying to figure out if there
no,
are,
we
there
get
are
an
settlement
annual
things.
no,
coded
it's
in
an
there.
annual premium. I don't
That's
think
just
it's
premium,
any settlement.
Okay.
I don't think we've had them come back to the board.
Okay.
Insurance has gone up for everything.
Yeah.
I wanted to have things stated on off for you, but people just jump. This is what happens, you go on vacation, forget it. Legal and engineering. So engineering, we budgeted 24,000 for this year. I think we're a little over 45.
24,299 that we're over.
Right.
I think a big, I mean, if I remember right, about 15,000, that was you doing the finding of the gas lines.
Yeah, we did the survey, we did all the concept layouts, and
The environmental
we did,
consultant also did that.
did the Aquila repaving, not Aquila, Artisan Park repaving.
But Tom, to your point, I mean, that was what I was talking about, our budget meeting, gas, so need to think about that as we go to the next year.
Well, I-
Decisions we make, and we're gonna need more work time.
And I think if we're talking about, because with legal, we're budgeted 40,000. We're at 30,000. So we're right in the middle of the year. So these are just concerns. If we have a lot of those. I think when we're going into a lot of the stuff, when we're talking about master plan and everything, I think we should break these down so we know exactly kind of what we're talking about doing the regular operation of the CCD, and if we're doing other special projects, kind of break them down.
So I know
where we are with that.
Angel had sent a note out about coding them separately so that there's
Yeah, we have a
segregation.
separate file for incorporation, and then we set up a separate one for the community center.
Are you suggesting a separate budget line item for that? So it's actually budgeted separately, or just that we need to?
No,
increase the budget?
I think it just needs to be accounted, because I'd like to go in and see, okay, you know, when we say how much your things cost or how much you spend.
Right.
We just be able to go ahead and see that.
Yep.
Angel's
absolutely capturing that, so it's not reflected, it's all rolled up in one number and, or
Okay.
these line items in the budget, but if we break out, she can pull those out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, what are we, 50%, not even 50% here though.
Right at October 1.
Yeah,
so.
there's some line items that are over, so I didn't want to go into each one in individual detail, but the red flag went up when I looked at all this.
Yeah. Well, and now's the right time to be doing it because start the budget cycle.
Yeah, it's just a concern from this point to October 1st. That's a big concern of where we gotta.
Yep.
What we need to do, so.
But I think we need to know as a board also, we just need to get alerted from either management or our consultants or contractors, even, like, hey, we budgeted this, but we're tracking for way over that. And I don't wanna scan a finance report and see we're 40% over.
I talked
know
with,
about
what's the name of the budgeting lady go Brian? 631.
Rhea?
Yes. Is that it?
Leah.
Leah.
And Leah and Liz are both on the call. If you have questions for them, they're both available to answer.
Oh, there you go. Leah, I thought we had talked about doing, I don't want to say true earned value, but I mean, basically a burn against the expectation, particularly for those that aren't, insurance, hey, it's a one lump sum thing, but for like Jan's time for attorneys as an example, taking her budget of $40,000 and kind of doing that divided out. Hey, we're 6 months into the year, but we spend 9 months on it. Therefore, it's kind of color coding so that we're easy to pick up those up in the budget. But we talked about being able to do that. Is that something you're able to implement?
Yeah, so let me make sure that I'm understanding. Are you talking about sort of prorating the professional fees throughout the year, or am I misunderstanding the intent?
Not necessarily prorating, but if we're running over, glide path or under glide path on a particular budget item, if we know that we budgeted $12 for the year, it's $1 a month, but we're spending $1.50 a month, it's going to flag red because sometimes it's hard for us to tell. Some of these are installment payments, like insurance, we're going to see 0, 0, 0, 0, then we're going to see a gigantic number. Other things are going to be like Jan's time or Mark's time are going to be up and down as we use their time. That we get a little bit easier flag on the budget to know if we're under or over glide path.
Okay, yes. So yes, you will see that incorporated into the budget. Essentially what we've baked in is a threshold. And so at the moment, the way I created the model is that any expense line item that exceeds 20% of the operating budget will be flagged.
But can we get that in our monthly reports as well that are derived directly from the budget, so that as we're getting the monthly financials coming through, so we're tracking actuals to see if we're running against those glide paths or not?
Yes, I believe that recommendation was made to the accounting team, and I will circle up after this meeting to make sure we incorporate that revision.
Okay, yeah, if we can get that in, I don't want to wait until next year's budget cycle. If we can start getting that in next month's report, that'd be good.
Certainly.
That for you guys?
Okay.
Cool. All right, I got a motion in a second. All in favor? Business matters, 7A, farmers market musicians request. I can maybe take this one since you, Mike Nunes email. Is Mike on the line or anybody from Lexington? Brenda?
No, sir.
Okay. So following our what meeting here, March, following our January meeting where this first came up, Mike had emailed Angel and me right before our February meeting, it was like a day or two before. And you've got the email thread here basically asking if we reconsidered or not. I tried to represent what I understood the board's concerns were or questions, whether or not it had been advertised, but discussed with the downtown residents. I put Crow on the email as well to see if they had any conversation or heard any conversations, since there's a residential component to that as well. And you guys see the thread, and I don't want to recap it, right? It speaks for itself there. So it did not come up at last month's meeting. It wasn't on the agenda item. It was too late to get it on there. So I don't know if Angel brought it back on or somebody requested.
I did request.
Okay.
to do that.
Alright, so.
I was surprised because I wasn't at the February meeting.
Yep.
And I was surprised it wasn't brought to 10.
It was never listed as an agenda.
Right,
item
I
because-
don't understand why
Yeah.
it wasn't, but okay. So we're, here we are.
So. Your agenda,
So they actually have, a couple of the concerns were, noise, right? Also the type of music, I think that was one. And so, they did have a musician because they technically didn't have to have it on CCD property, they had it in a tent. It looked awkward, that's just my opinion, but it is just very low-key background music. And I personally don't have a problem with it being on CCD property because of what it is, you know, it's just, they're just playing music. It's just background music. They turned off the speaker system. It seems like residents are happy with that type of music. It's more instrumental than anything else, so there's been no complaints that I've seen from homeowners in that area. Because it's been, again, it's low key. I don't think, and you know, in the past.
I agree.
Go
You know,
ahead.
I agree. I'm sorry. I don't know who I interrupted, but
It's me, but everyone does, and I appreciate it. It's okay.
oh, okay. But yeah, I agree. After reading his emails and you know, his great explanation of what they're trying to do, I think we should allow the musician. We have all types of music out there. Just think when the foundation has concerts, you know, you can hear it all over downtown. And I don't think this musician will even be that loud, you know? Let's try it. I would say I'm in favor of it.
so I have two, I think, questions, so I'm not adverse to the idea. I am wondering why we're doing it on our I haven't heard why it's on CBD property instead of Canoa property, because I saw it set up there, yeah, she was in Kent, but she was in Kent.
Well, we also have speakers on our property, so it's just a replacement of speakers as far as me. I don't,
I don't see it as a big issue, I just wasn't sure, why is it going on CBD property if they've got the entire road and.
Well, I understand the entire road, but I think if you're gonna have people playing music. Putting them on cement and not I don't know.
It wasn't the end, the only other one I had, Jan, I know you were trying to come up with something, I don't know if you have any attorney's report as far as a usage policy, because I do have, like anything, consistency concerns, because we'll get a little bit of a creep, because even Mike brought it up in his email, you'll get this creep of, okay, well, if you do this, then what about this, then what about this? Next thing you know, we kind of set a precedent, and I don't want to be dramatic about it, it's a slippery slope, but it does kind of happen, and Mike brought it up in his email. You know, we've got, you know, he said, you've got the Cub Scouts out there, or the Girl Scouts selling cookies. Personally, I don't have a problem with that. But is it just because someone asks and someone, you know, and then you've got religious groups?
I mean, this really should be an event use that who's ever putting on the farmer's market is asking to use the seating.
Well, and
It is event based.
And other heartburn I have is we don't get applications
Yeah, no, this should be.
from the farmer's market for anything, and they use our property all the time, and they've never asked. And again, I've said that out loud, and I think I'm the only one that said it, and I've let it go, but.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to come up with something on the sidewalks, you know, and. Or using the sidewalks for damage from that point of view. We could tie in the use application as a rule, so at least we can say it's an enforceable regulation of the CBD.
But I mean, even this one, again, I don't have heartburn at all with the music, I like the idea. It is a for-profit operation.
Yeah, but see, the Christmas event that they have
It's for-profit operation.
for-profit operation.
And the policy
So are we allowing-
excludes grandfathered in under the policy.
And are we allowing, are we in the business of the board of allowing for-profit operations to do for-profit things? If so, and we shot it down out of hand, somebody came up 2 years ago and wanted to put paddle books on the top, you know, saying I would support it or not, but are we now entertaining those things?
Well, we actually historically always have entertained those things because when Disney would do other events in downtown and did it on CCD property, it was a for-profit business because it was made to sell homes.
The board that adopted the policy that's in effect right now has no for-profit other than grandfathering in Christmas house. So that would be a change in policy.
And guys, like I
Just so
said,
you all know, yeah.
I'm all for the music piece, I think conceptually, I like the idea, it was nice, sounded great, it took me back to my 90s college days. But I think we need to refresh the policy if we're looking at entertaining other things. Let's refresh it because we do get other requests for other things to do other stuff.
Okay, so now I have another question. Basically, if we know we had to go ahead and refresh the policy, why didn't we do it 3 months ago when it was submitted that we had to go?
Jan did say
But when that was, we were really talking about the sidewalks and the uses of the
the
sidewalks.
sidewalk usage, correct?
Yeah,
And
the
again,
event use didn't really come in. I mean, it probably should all be adopted as a formal rule with notice and all that, as opposed to just the policy, which technically we can't enforce. But
Okay.
I'll recirculate the policy to everybody tomorrow, or so you can at least
so
look at what you like
I
and
don't,
don't like.
I don't like this, have this policy, but I don't know why it was generated in the first place.
Was months and months of work of a prior.
Oh, regardless, why did they
I-
go through months and months?
you don't like the fact that it is a policy or what it says?
Why are we restricting that? Why was-
Let me send you all the most recent version and,
So,
everybody take a look, and then that might be a better way of giving me feedback on what it is you think.
So
Or
are we-
maybe some discussion at the next meeting. of this.
but are we gonna have to then wait 2 to 3 months to go through the policy before we should consider? Playing
No, I
music?
think the board can,
Listen, I'm already hearing a majority vote for this one, so we're gonna vote on this one, and I'll support it tonight, but I think we need to, in parallel,
I don't
for
disagree
our own
with that.
sanity and for the.
I don't disagree with
Yeah, I wanna relook this policy and prove this, so.
that. And you were saying something, you had your hand.
No, I was
I
looking.
was just saying, I was on that,
Okay,
so I could give you history.
but history is good. I appreciate
no, I
history.
don't think.
Yeah, I know.
I could
There was a
not.
lot of stuff, people came to us wanting to sell things.
And that's my concern is,
Yeah.
again, I don't wanna be extreme on it, to all of a sudden think we're gonna have.
I don't want yeah,
Cases.
my goal isn't to have the individuals. So if it's tied to the event and it's presented, that's what I don't have a problem
And
with.
if we have an event application for the farmer's market, which we
I-
have gotten in 4 years. but just me. Okay, do I have a motion?
Move to approve it.
Have a second,
Second.
all in favor?
Uh,
All right, celebration of Circle K. Oh, sorry, Cassandra, we got you. Delayed,
Yeah, we got a
Party.
3-second delay
Yeah.
when you speak, so it's not your fault, it's technology.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
celebration news article. Have a motion.
So
I'll make a motion, okay,
second,
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
3-year pricing for USA Seal Inspector for street improvement yard.
What's the difference?
Don't understand how much more is going up or not going up. What is it?
Remember what we got from him last month that we approved was only a 1-year price, and we asked him for multi-year pricing to ensure that we had
Yes.
costs locked in.
Yeah, but I don't have a comparison here.
This is
Last-
what we're.
What you approved last month, there was no change in his price from from when you issued the contract in 2023.
And this is no change from that, other than up to 3% annual increase for fuel.
Okay, I move to approve.
And I'm sorry, he's also adding in because there was no coverage by Island Village. Phase 1, we hadn't started sweeping out there yet because we didn't need to, so that's an option that's in there that we can exercise when we need to exercise. When trees start dropping. Think
Approve it.
Jack made a motion, have a second? Second. All in favor?
aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right.
Don't forget Sandra, she's out there.
I was waiting.
Oh,
You
man.
waited. Did you hear me?
We got you.
Okay.
All right.
Goodness.
Dave just went through the voice. Discussion of letter of intent with Osceola County School Board, so.
Just for clarification, if anybody in the public, this is regarding the community center, because the agenda doesn't say what these next 3 are regarding.
Got it.
So before any votes, the public can. comments.
Thanks for letting me know.
There you go.
Thank you, Jan.
Any other public comments from people online regarding that clarification? All right. So item D, and really D and E, we can maybe kind of roll these together. I mean, we'll separate them, but it's basically the same intent. On the school board, we obviously have had conversations for the past couple months about a possible joint use agreement, possible land sale, whatever else, and it's been at a bit of a stall point with the district. Just recap on history, I'd gone to a workshop in September, after we had initially approved, you guys had initially approved for me to do an initial engagement with them. Presented them with the idea, they liked it, they were chewing on it, they wanted their legal counsel to weigh in on some questions. From September to December, he was weighing in, thinking, and then they changed legal counsels. January came, new legal counsel, took her a little while to get up to speed. She had some different questions, all that kind of good stuff. Earlier today, they had another follow-up workshop, they had a quarterly facilities workshop. And their head of facilities had asked me to attend, so I sat in on it. So the discussion today, just to recap, number one, they're very interested in the idea of something. Whether that is a joint use agreement or whether that is a straight sale is still a discussion point among the board. Some of their folks on staff have, some are concerns, some are simply questions, some are unknowns on the idea of a joint use agreement where we would share the community center space with the school during school hours, mostly around security concerns for the kids. Which, I immediately said, hey guys, 100% understand. Several of us have kids at the K-8 school, so we want that to be a concern. My overarching comment to them was state those concerns to us in a way that is engaged, that we can figure out, can we address those concerns? Can we not address those concerns? Are there cost impacts to those concerns? Whatever else. I said, we need to hear from you if you're interested in this idea of a shared use agreement or joint use agreement. We'll need to start getting that feedback. What I posited to them was, so there was that piece, there was separately, their land attorney, Jan, what did I say his name was?
Tom Cullen?
Tom Cullen, had taken a look at the deed. There is language in the deed for the school property that gives TCC right of first refusal to buy back the land. Dave, I'm curious, I know you've had conversations, or gonna have conversations this past month with TCC, if that happened, kind of blend that into the conversation. I didn't want to speak for TCC, and I didn't speak for TCC, but I don't. So jump out.
That's common in my experience that all of their purchase and sale agreements for land includes a right of first refusal for any subsequent resale. Had to deal with that when I was with that group, and there's never really an appetite for it unless there's some extreme circumstance, which I don't see in this one. So I wouldn't, again, I can't speak on their behalf either, but if it's the same common language they put in all their contracts, it more often than not is just formality.
Okay.
Notice.
So there
Is there someone we can talk to so they know that we'd be the party interested in?
Yeah, we go through
Design.
TCC, and then we probably hear back from their legal with a formal decision, one way or another, execute or waive their right of first.
So the tasker to their attorney was to take the next week, which I'm a little pessimistic. It's only gonna take a week, but good luck to see if he can get an answer back from TCC if they're waiting that right or not. I did suggest to the school district, hey, if they wanted to invite us to that conversation, to have you in there, I think Dave would probably be a good one since he knows TCC land better than any of us. They didn't say yes or no. They said, let's get our attorney engaged with TCC and see what happens. So
Okay.
left that open-ended. Dave Sharman, the facilities guy, said he would reach out to me if there was desire to have that as a three-way conversation. Again, open dialogue here. I think preemptively, I don't think, Dave, if you've had open comms with TCC on this, I know you had an initial conversation.
Not this particular topic. So,
But
yeah.
generally, I mean, you bridged I know last meeting we had said you were gonna bridge the conversation with them, just, hey, give them an overview of what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Tom filled in.
I did,
Oh,
I did
okay.
give them the overview.
Okay,
And so, they're very supportive. They are the only thing I would say they're concerned about is how it's all going to work, but not from them, just from our perspective, making sure that the negotiations and the details are all in there.
Okay.
But they were supportive of the whole idea.
okay, so did you get down to the level of detail of saying, hey, we're in a discussion with the school district?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so this will not surprise them if they get a call from the school district, that it probably wouldn't be bad, I'll let you guys arm wrestle. Probably wouldn't be bad if one of you with Jan goes and tells TCC, hey, expect to have a phone call as a result of all this happening, like this is. Now,
I just sent Todd, the director
Yeah,
there.
he's well aware of it, and just so you know, I spoke to Todd, gosh, again, 6 months ago.
Okay.
And I mentioned that this is a possibility, and so, he was open there, he was definitely open at this point, so.
Okay.
Again, I go back with the right of refusal, I don't think they're gonna execute.
Okay.
that.
And that's good, it's just a question of timing and I'm making sure the school district is getting the right messaging to them. I think it would be good if one of you, in conjunction with Jan or whatever,
would be nice.
preemptively said, hey, this was a conversation the school district just had, you're gonna get some inbound traffic, here's what they're gonna ask you, here's our position.
Did you wanna take that, cause
Yep, I got it.
And,
I didn't wanna confuse.
and Dave, let's talk, because there's one other little issue with the school board that I'd like you to make them aware of. Just in case.
Oh, the TCC side?
Yeah.
So that was the more definitive short-term goal for them out of today's workshop was to have their attorney engage TCC. I then turned to, okay, guys, assume that you get this answer the next week, but then what? And there's two schools of thought within the board itself and they're.
The school district board.
Correct.
Okay.
As to whether or not two of their members were very strongly, we want to go down the road of exploring the joint use agreement and having the conversation and engaging, what I encouraged them, I said, guys, I really think would be useful is start off with a letter of intent and have that letter of intent be very high level, have it be a non-binding, just an expression of intent. That way, at least we know what we are acting in good faith with from their side, whether they want to do a JUA or just a straight sale or both, whatever that is, and setting out any outlines from that. Jan had sent me over an example JUA, I think, Pasco County, it was 100 pages long now.
Is that the one I gave you?
I think so. I've had a couple, but
Yeah,
probably the one that you gave was the closest.
and you mentioned it probably wouldn't be that long, but it would still be a,
We can do an
Yeah.
interlocal joint use that it's the important stuff.
yeah. So my suggestion to them was, if we want to keep it a little bit easier or just do a letter of intent now, at least so our board knows. Because I did say, depending on the nature of the questions that they would want addressed in a JUA, some of those would probably involve us would require us getting an engineer or an architect or a project manager, some of the other things that we're talking about holding off on until we get the letter, so we're trying to figure out what goes first. And I think that letter of intent, I told them, would first domino would probably make sense on our side of the fall. So they didn't want to commit to that now until they got the word back from TCC through their attorney if Disney was waiving the right of first refusal. So once that happens, they'll re-engage, but they did have a task for to go ahead internally, talk to the principal here at the school, figure out what his position is on whether or not he thinks JUA would be useful and beneficial to the students, all that kind of stuff. I told him at the end of the day, our board was open to either one of them, but just, wanted to get a position from them as to how they felt. I think if they started with the idea, certainly straight sale would be simpler. If they were committed on that they want to do a letter of intent, hey, 60 days after that, all of a sudden they did their internal checks or whatever, and they wanted to get to a joint use agreement. I said, guys, as long as you get it back in a timely fashion, we can bring it back into it. I said, we do, this is kind of the key domino now for us for this entire process is getting the school district on board. I said, the rest of the stuff needs to follow back behind. So.
There's other options too. If they want the use but don't want to go through the headache of a joint use, we can do some sort of purchase and lease back or purchase with no payments back. So there's other ways we can structure. We can put a third option of some alternatives.
Okay,
Those work.
if you want to maybe outline some of those for me and I can
Okay.
send it over to Dave that he can just
Okay, sure.
kind of circulate around his team as they're chewing on those.
So then upon receipt from TCC of a waiver of that right of first, then what's the next step?
What I left them with was the idea of going to a letter of intent. That they would have
Our letter of intent to them or their letter?
Intent to sell.
a letter of intent to engage in either a sale or a joint use, or possibly both. Hey, if they want to really do a joint use, but put a trapdoor in there that if, 6 months down the road, we find out we can't get the joint use agreement because there's too many security things, there's too much cost, then we just kind of trapdoor out and say, okay, then let's just convert this into a straight sale and not try to do a joint use thing. structure any of those sorts of contingencies in it.
So then, yeah, like at agreed to price.
Yeah, we've got, and that's part of, we're gonna have to get some kind of price that we can get tax council to sign off on. You know, whether it's appraised value, whether we can have conditions in it.
Yeah.
That won't
So,
make a
so
difference.
just to kind of break the conversation for a second, that's the historical of where we're, that's where they've left us. What I'd like to take the next couple minutes, and then we'll do the same thing with SIPCOD, a little bit different situation, but kind of running in parallel. I want to make sure that as much as the board is comfortable with Jan and I taking a conversation, if they were to truly come back next week and say, hey, we're ready to negotiate a letter of intent. I would prefer not to have to wait till the next board meeting, whether we need to schedule a separate board meeting out of cycle and say, okay, let's talk about this now, or if you guys want to set some parameters for us now, and looking for some guidance on the board, knowing where we're at, that based on what you guys are saying, it sounds like they're gonna come back, Disney's gonna come back and waive their right. So it sounds like within the next few weeks, we will probably be getting word from the district, hey, we're interested in something. And I just wanna know what y'all's guidance is on how you want to move forward.
So
Please.
I think this is something the board should look at a draft and give input, because a lot of it, we're gonna need Dave's input on timing and, you know, how we tie the conditions and parameters together. Because we've got to figure out, you know, size, usage, appraised value there, whatever value we use that works with tax council. There's a lot of pieces to this that.
I absolutely
not-
think that us starting the letter of intent and having them provide input on it is gonna be a lot more successful than the other way around.
I think
We
the-
need to be the ones taking the first step.
Yeah, but I think the whole board needs some time.
Oh, no, absolutely, but to Tom's question or Dave's
Okay.
question, who's writing it,
Who's doing it?
I think it needs, the first shot needs to come from us.
I'm always a proponent of that, it builds the narrative.
Yeah.
So I think if we're gonna do that, I think we should review it. I think we should vote on that. And the reason I do that is because we're getting to the point now where we're way far away from you know, of this moving forward, because you know, Disney comes back and says, hey, you know, Todd's gonna come back and go ahead and say, you know, I don't think there's an issue here.
But I need to.
But let me run it by Disney League. Okay, there's a month and a half. I mean, that's just, you know, as they get movement on that. Because it's a cost to them to review it. They're gonna have to review it. But every time I think we have to go ahead and say, we wanna send a letter to the county. We wanna go ahead and tell them. I think the board needs to go ahead and discuss that and vote on it, because I think the community needs to know we're doing this. And I think every CCD board member needs to be involved in that decision and bring stuff up, right? Because we might come up with different perspectives. So that's just my.
So to that point, what is the best method to do that? Because we can't do it virtually, assuming.
No,
We have to do
it would
that.
have to be a meeting,
All right, so we're
so
in,
you can you really need to advertise so the public knows you're voting on something that could be a commitment of dollars.
yeah, so if, because I agree, this should be a consolidated effort by the board that should have a hand in it, we should both be able to focus on it as a group.
But also recognize, well, I'm not gonna sit here, keyboards typing this thing out, right? It's gonna be guidance to Jan and
Yes, exactly.
I would-
What I'm getting at though is this, if we do that and then have to wait a month in order to review it, tweak it, then send it out,
that's why I'm asking.
I think we need to do more meetings. We have to more-
Well, that's what that's the thing. Here's the thing, on the county side. Even though maybe their legal counsel, they're still gonna have to meet every single time, right? And they might do it on their meetings. They might not have accelerated meetings, right? For us, maybe like we would meet, let's say we meet every 2 weeks, right? Not consistently, but for this, as we get through it, they're only gonna make their decisions on their board meetings.
Well, and I'll also tell you.
They're a government. They don't move that quick.
But also tell you, the school district operates with more, because they run a $2.2 billion a year operation, I don't expect that they're gonna come back on every iteration of the letter of intent. I expect they're gonna get the final version that their lawyer and everybody else is taking a job
Yeah, I
at.
understand.
And they're gonna have their staff do the entire job and then say, hey, do you approve this or not? And I'm not saying that we have to do the same thing, but I think they're different mindsets.
Right. Cassandra, you had
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I agreed with you. I agree with you, Tom. There's no reason for us to rush through it, have meetings every week. We should take it slow and make sure we get good information. It should be presented to the whole board so that we can, and at the same time, you know, so that we all get the information at the same time, be able to mull over it, talk about it, and work on our schedule.
Yeah, I just don't wanna rush it too much, but I do wanna make sure that if we have all this, you know, we still have to give notice for meetings.
Mhm.
We still have to go do that. I think in the beginning, we might have, you know, let's say our next meeting, right after that, we might have, okay, next 2 weeks, we have to have a meeting, okay. I don't think we're gonna have so many iterations for a letter of intent. I don't.
Yeah, and perhaps at the meeting that we have a draft letter of intent, and you'll all get it ahead of time. And then maybe have Angel advertise, you know, a couple extra meetings. We don't have to have them if we don't need them, but we've got them in case something comes back.
So I agree with all this. I'm trying to figure out exactly what this means as far as next steps. Do we want to put this on our next board meetings agenda item for everybody to bring
I think we need,
parameters for letters of intent? You want to take a first cut? I'm trying to figure out where
we
to
take
go.
a first cut, but I think we need to wait to hear from TCC and the school board, okay, they think this could be a deal. Then the next meeting, we'll have a letter, a draft at least for everybody to look at. We can decide then, can we get the terms that are close enough at that meeting that, you know, authorized to send it out. We can always send it back to you all and you give me input. Or then instead of the meeting for a week or two to.
I don't think there's anything to stop any of us from now feeding Jan ideas offline. Hey, if you got good ideas, Dave, I know you're loaded with them for different things. You know, I don't think there's anything to stop us from shuffling those to Jan now, just so she can start getting her head around the different.
I have
angles.
so many ideas for you.
Oh, I can't wait. We're talking.
Sounds like a
nice, simple letter of intent. Yeah, and I do have to get the tax council engaged. I was supposed to have a letter this time, but they had like 7 closings this week, so I didn't push too much.
Okay.
They have
No.
given some advice, which
And I think realistically, even though they said it'll be a week back from TCC,
it could be months.
I'm not fully I think, but again, I absolutely saw today as positive because what I did get today was a clear intent from their board to do something. You know, that the question of whether or not to get into a JUA or a straight sale was largely contingent on whether or not they could mitigate safety concerns. That staff clearly had a task to go back and say, okay, start thinking and itemizing those out. Just don't put a pie in the sky in the back of the napkin. Really figure out what those are. They're already starting to drill down on that stuff. So, okay. So right now we will, I don't want to say table it, but there's really no action until next meeting unless anybody wants to send it to Jan. Jan, do you think you will, are you suggesting you will have a framework of something by next meeting to have us take a look at, or?
If we need it by then, yes.
Okay. Okay, and I'll keep you.
Yeah, it really depends on where they come from.
Where they
If-
come, yeah.
If, you know, if they're saying definitely JUA, then we might put some more time into it because that's more thought
More
there than
intense,
the other.
yep. Okay, yep, I will keep you posted on what I'm hearing from them. Any other questions on the school board, Peter, any other ideas? I mean, again, this isn't just questions.
Are there any other meetings coming up that the board needs to know about?
The school board?
Yeah,
They do their facilities workshops are quarterly. They don't always bring up because this was a land sale, usually the facilities workshop is on stuff they're developing, like things in construction. This was just one that had come up because they've got several requests for land sale, that they had bunched all the stuff in together, so that's where.
I'm just thinking if
Yeah.
anything else comes up, it might be good to have Angel there so she can
I
tell
was-
the other
I was
board
gonna
members.
suggest that.
Because Greg can't tell the other board members outside of him.
I think
So-
somebody from staff probably should be at every meeting you're having, because I think we're getting to the point now where things are getting a little more serious,
Yeah.
and that way we can document it. And,
If you guys are good with me taking staff's time, all about it.
I think so.
Angel's not here, so.
Easy to commit her when she's not here. Cool. Any other thoughts or questions on the school board side of it? All right, separately on CIPTOD, so again, I think it was January, Mark, you and I did the walkthrough with Glenn, like January timeframe or February, somewhere around there. That was with the manager for CIPTOD. Obviously, from our last meeting, we know he is moving on, I think, as of next week.
There'll be a new district administrator tomorrow morning.
So, he did say when I had when Mark and I had a follow-up with him about 3 weeks ago, something like that, where, yeah, some of the staff was asking some of their staff was asking for, hey, what had Mark already done, some concept, and obviously some discussion of the gas lines and utility stuff. They wanted to know what we were aware of and what homework we done, so Mark filled them in on that. With the turnover both of Gilzine and well, that's really the main one, he had been one I'd engaged with, seeing this handed off to new person coming in. He said he was gonna do that not only with administrator, but also with the board members themselves. I'd already had one engagement, this was 8 or 9 months ago, I think I told you, with their vice chair. We had a discussion about it, just as a concept at that point, and we decided to formally press it. And since we have, I'd follow back up with him, and when Glenn was saying he was gonna get with the rest of the board members just as a handoff and say, hey, here's what's been discussed so far. So, generally from that meeting, again, Mark chime in, I mean, they were supportive of the idea, particularly because they really weren't asked to do anything. Other than, they were obviously cognizant of a lot of the utility issues. They had a few questions on water management and design stuff. I'm trying to think what else they were.
That's along I-4, where you have a new plan that kind of fuses that's.
Yeah.
50 footers.
So there was nothing there where they had any roadblocks, but they recognized we may have a lot of roadblocks with working with utility companies or some others, and it was simply, hey, I left them with the same comment of, we really need to get to a letter of intent to know that their board is on board with the idea of doing this would be a joint use agreement, this would just be a land easement, that we'd be able to do the ball fields over top of their land and straddle over whatever conditions were there. So I have not formally engaged their board because that was what Glenn had left me with at the last meeting. I wanted to get guidance from you guys again. I can do that with Angel in tow as a presentation to their board to say, I think Mark and I should be really good to bring on that as well, to say, hey, just this concept, here's what we're thinking about, and we can get it on their board agenda, to get any discussion or concurrence from their board as a whole. I think so, particularly if that's some turbulence related, probably do that. A full board meeting with them would be useful. So that's my suggestion at this point, kind of where they're at.
So I have a question on when you're looking at overview land. You have the K5,
Mhm.
then we have the land we own.
Mhm.
Then what's the next piece of land?
September.
And then after that is, no, so where are utilities? The utilities have a strip, so where does that go?
Utilities don't. Utilities either have it in our land or in Siptot's land.
So where are the utilities right now?
Both.
Power lines on SITCOD and ours has gas lines.
And Siptot's has, yes.
Okay, but I was reading in that the gas line people said pretty much nothing permanent can be on.
Mark, you know.
Yeah, they had sent, you're talking about the Florida gas letter?
Yeah.
Can't build anything.
So, I think Angel must have circulated it if you saw it.
Or something in the agenda.
It was in the
Florida gas.
Okay, basically just saying they get the plan, they operate the line, there are several concerns. No above ground appurtenances will be allowed with easements. These include bleachers, dugouts, structures, shelters, etc. No parallel chain link fencing will be allowed within easements. Would allow perpendicular crossing with gates. Parallel sidewalks, walking paths with it. Evaluated case by spaces. So that was the feedback we could formally ask for writing, based on the current site plan.
So if we were gonna go ahead and build a baseball field that we wanted to build, we wouldn't be able to do that.
I would say no.
No, wait,
We have to shrink it down.
no, we can do it. You can't put the dugouts over their lines, but that's the only thing I think is a problem.
Well, they said no dugouts.
No fences,
Well,
bleachers,
Fence is gonna be perpendicular though.
and the easement covers.
It's a whole lot longer than the lot, so it takes up the majority of it, does it not?
Well, Mark, what did you come up with? Is there a design that
We'd
works?
have to shrink the fields a little bit and shove them farther towards I-4. get out of this. Missouri.
So it'll work though.
Shrink them down to roughly how much, I know we were working about 180-foot line.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be, 125, 180, yes.
I mean, just for reference, the K8 field right now is 190. So comparable.
So you put a 15-foot high fence there for the outfield for home
I don't
runs.
know if you can do a fence. Where we want it.
No, I think you're talking about doing netting on the I-4 fence, if that
That's what Reedy Creek had brought up just for balls getting out there.
Yeah.
And cars.
Or can you do that with the power lines?
Well, we did get some feedback from OUC.
No, did you?
Basically saying, we've received the plans and have concerns, which include the multiple ponds, maintenance building, multiple fields, and directly below our 230,000 volt transmission lines. OUC currently has a stabilized dirt road that must be maintained for access to our structures and wires.
which we can do.
Access concerns include our existing wire and poles and future expansion capabilities. As such, OUC cannot approve the proposed design layout if you'd like to discuss potential redesign options. Go ahead, schedule something. I talked with them on the phone prior after the email. Obviously they have concerns with being able to traverse their easement when their easement is the full width of the Reedy Creek property. That's their SIP property.
Is it-
150 feet wide.
Are they thinking that the access thing is an issue, or it's the stabilized roadway?
Well, they definitely want to keep the stabilized road, because that's kind of their path, but.
Could we not keep that in the outfield?
You potentially could, yeah, and you could meander it a little bit, that's where we'd have to kind of get into some more details with them on how far away. Right now, it kind of runs underneath the poles. I think at one place maybe it goes up to the side. But yeah, we have to meander a little bit, just run through the outfield.
So do we know, so a couple of things, so for the, for the kids who are playing baseball, for the requirements they have, is a shorter field allowed? But for their requirements when they do competitions and stuff, is that allowed?
So what Alec had conveyed to me, the president of was the older kids who are middle school age-ish. They've already got an agreement with the high school, because they've got a 380-foot fence line, which is what they need.
Right.
So he's already addressing them there. Really what they're looking at are anywhere from your younger kids, 5 and 6, up to maybe about 10. None of those kids are maybe 100. That's maybe the 90-foot diamond.
No, but my question is the requirements for Little League. What is the Little League requirement for a field? It's gotta be a requirement for Little League.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
field.
we know the constraints, I think. And here I'm kind of violating my rule of having Mark do work that might not bear any fruit, but still, he has a better idea now of the constraints. And here's the problem, when I've dealt with the gas company, the power company, you think you interpret it one way, and you put something you think meets their intent, and they find something else that say, no, that's not acceptable. So it's very difficult. But what we would have to do is finally get to a point where both parties agree that it's a plan. And then we go to, then we'll know whether it works for little.
Okay. Well, Mark, I mean, I and again, I'm trying to Dave's point, sort of interpret their language on here. Is it really what we kind of assumed from the beginning? Hey, when we get a final proposed design plan, which would include your engineering and everything else, that's what they want to see to say yes or no?
Ultimately, to agree to and formalize I think FGG calls it a approachment agreement. I'm not sure what the other gas company calls it. But yeah, they would formalize an agreement. Parties would sign to and a plan.
Well, the full engineering plans are expensive. The last thing I want to do is go into all that.
It's some odd thousand, I agree.
Yeah, not to say you're expensive, you're well worth it, but still, the idea is that you get a concept to them that shows exact dimensions.
Well, and I'm even backing it up a little bit earlier though, because again, we're talking in context of SIP. We haven't gotten formal concurrence from SIPTOT because I haven't formally asked the question because I need from this board, whether or not to go approach SIPTOT and say, hey, we have a concept.
Okay, let me back up. Why do they care what we do with their property?
I don't know that they necessarily do, but I haven't formally asked them the question yet because I want to come back to this board first. To make sure that
if we just wound up with that property without any plan for it, would we care?
Do that one more time.
What if we just said we want that property and we want to put a park in there? We don't know what it is, but and we're gonna, what, that for some civic use. Why do we have to tell them exactly what we wanna do with them?
You say if we're buying their own?
No, a recreational use of
Yeah.
easement.
Yeah.
Just the use easement for whatever
It's
recreation.
just a general
Recreational use.
use agreement.
Right.
So Dave, I've had that conversation with them. They don't care. They said our challenge is the utilities.
Yeah, so. Well, just,
Well,
independent of what we put there, just go to CIVTOD and say, this is what we want this parcel.
Well,
We have
the last conversation we had here last month, or maybe the month before, when we saw Mark's proposal for 100 and so on, for full engineering was, we don't even know if CIVTOD is going to grant us such an easement. So the first step was figure out if CIVTOD has any appetite for this. And then we would figure out, are we ready to move forward on Mark's stuff? So I'm still on the CIVTOD piece because I hear you, and we heard the same thing on the phone call, was kind of, you're not really asking us for
Yeah.
anything, we're just gonna put a ball field over it, they could really care less. They were skeptical as to whether or not we could get there or not. But I think I feel like we need to formalize and get the confirmation from CIVTOD first before we jump into anything else, to make sure that they're actually on board with giving us that kind of easement.
Well, yeah, but I don't even think, even if we can't put a ball field there or it doesn't work or whatever, we still have a recreational track. Big one.
And hey, I can't do ball fields, but I can do something else.
Yeah, put a skate park, bike rack, I don't know.
Listen,
Parking lot, whatever.
Generally, the discussion was around baseball fields because that's been the focus. But I don't think they really, I mean, if we put a skate park and 4 pickleball courts and a basketball court, I don't think they really care. They want to make sure they've still got access to what they need access to, that none of the easement stuff, the utilities are being violated, the rest of it, I don't think they care.
I'm just saying, decouple it from the whole baseball thing, and just say, we like this property for recreation. I don't get
Leave it at that.
Okay. And that's fine. If you guys are okay with that, then I will take that. Again, I think what the step that needs to happen is I need to get confirmed from their board, which is going to happen in the board meeting, which means I need to go with Angel and Mark and do a presentation to their board and say, we are looking at a general recreational use thing. We've talked with your staff seem to be on board with this. I need formal concurrence from your board. Again, whether would they just jump straight to an easement thing, or is it a letter of intent? I mean, what are we asking for out of that? Would we just go straight to a recreational?
I think it depends a little bit what we can do there, but I mean, we could just ask for an easement for use for 50-year use easement.
You know, we could be done with this and nothing works and becomes a passive park, but still,
It's a passive park.
Yeah, come to dog park.
Okay.
Walk your dog there.
Okay, so is everybody okay with me taking Mark and Angel, and trying to get on their schedule,
So, question,
discuss that, or?
I would now gonna get into the final question.
Yeah.
So if you take Angel, doesn't cost us anything.
Right.
Take Mark, it does.
Right.
How much?
Well,
I doubt his
Mark,
fees
you're
a dollar. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
because
Mark, you're gonna support.
we're over budget on some
Yep.
stuff, and so if it's really necessary,
I don't,
okay, but I think we just need to
Well,
understand that, because
that's
this is.
good, that's a good.
I'm being overly cautious just because I don't know what questions they're gonna come up with from their board. I wouldn't wanna go in there and all of a sudden, they ask me an engineering question, I'm sitting here tilting heads at one.
No, I don't disagree, but I'm just saying, but if we're all understanding,
Yep.
I think we need to all understand how much that cost is. So we all.
I can't imagine this is more than a couple hours, literally 4 or 5 hours of your time.
What is the cost with the
Hours of meeting.
Respond to that.
And currently our hourly rate is
This is not.
very
a
affordable,
operating.
$25 an hour.
Yeah, and I would think that staff is gonna wanna go through this before they put it on the agenda. They're gonna wanna give a recommendation. They're not just gonna let you come talk to their board.
No, and I
So,
think
yeah.
the ask from Glenn initially was, hey, can you put together a presentation for me? Just that he could circulate himself to the individual board members. One, I didn't have concurrence from this board, and two, I kind of thought, well, if you're the outbound guy, I appreciated that he wanted to read his board members in, but also anything we're gonna do is gonna need a full concurrence of his board. Then I figured that that's probably just the easier path, which is going on one shot, if staff is on board with it, which they seem like they are, and just say, okay, guys, now that we've talked to your staff, here's what we're asking for.
Mark, was Catherine Lutzel at that meeting?
Yes.
P&E, okay.
Yeah. It was Catherine, and what was the guy's name? The O&M guy, right this way? Gary or something? I'll take a look at my.
Yeah,
notes.
I've been sending Catherine, since day one, I've been sending her this stuff, all the parcels.
She has questions on the wetlands and. How the stormwater management would work, we just kind of place some dry ponds across the site just where there's available.
I mean,
space.
listen, if Carrie speaks enough engineerese to the level that their board needs, then I'll take Carrie instead of Mark. If it's a cost consideration.
Well,
I charge, same, what do you charge?
Give us the friends and family, cut that.
I can help make those introductions. Jason Herrick, who is the board chair for Enterprise, is now their director of planning and engineering.
So he's right above Catherine?
Catherine reports to him, correct?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I think that would absolutely be useful, so. So that would be, and to Jan's point, this is not gonna be something I expect we get back by next meeting. But I do want to aggressively start tackling it with the staff and say, okay, staff, we had a conversation with you, here's the result of that conversation, here's what we're proposing, here's what we're asking. You guys concur on that, I think Jason, absolutely, and I talked with Angel about that, I think he's gonna be key on this.
Yeah.
Get him spun up real quick and caught up to where we're at, and then take that as a presentation to the board, so everybody's okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm being cautious for costs, just to be cautious for costs, so. The more we take steps on, the better.
The better. What, can you help me, whether you wanna send it to me in email or whatever, what we just said, is that like terminology, is we're just looking for a general recreational easement, or is there some formal?
Yeah, you just want an easement for recreational use.
Okay.
Who are you taking to the meeting with you?
It'd be Angel and Carrie just got nominated.
I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, I think the cheap date is the better one to take.
Wow.
Yeah, Mark and I really put down.
You took away Abbott and Costello for me, now it's a cheap day, thank you so much, I just feel.
Gary's crying over in the corner here, always getting us a cheeseburger out of this. All right,
One thing that OUC had mentioned, didn't put in the email was, regarding the light poles. When I talked to them, they had some concern with the poles being up under the lines, that we all kind of realized they would.
Yeah, that was not coming.
Yeah, they said that we could potentially do some poles, but they would need to be low poles, 25, 30 feet. I don't know how that fits with nighttime play stuff. If you can aim them up to get those high balls so they don't disappear as soon as you go above that mark and darkness.
Alec Ross had sent, and I know I gave it to you, Mark, I think we circulated the whole board, he had sent kind of a presentation. It wasn't like the official Little League standards, but it was basically,
I have it on my desk. I can
Yeah.
send it to you tomorrow. I just took it out of it.
yeah, it was kind of, hey,
I think I've seen it, it had the
It was very.
bullpens
Yeah.
and the pitching thing.
when I asked him, I said,
All
hey,
the
listen, I
wish
said,
lists.
put the wish list together, I said, don't worry about budget, don't worry about constraints, just tell me what you would like. And then we'll scale into there what we can, but understand it's gonna be a lot less than what you're asking for, but I just need to know what you're asking for. But he has verbally been very adamant that anything is better than what he's got now.
Yeah.
So.
It's not great.
Yeah, I think if we said, hey, you got this with 25-foot lights and I couldn't put a dugout here, but you can bring your chairs. Again, these are.
I would.
I gotta tell you though, I got 3 kids playing Little League baseball right now. They don't hit them that far, they don't hit them that high.
I coached it for 3 years. I mean, to have my kid not trip over first base was a success, so,
Yeah. I mean,
I don't wanna lower
and by the
expectations.
way, I was looking at the dimensions of the field. It says should be 200 feet. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be 200.
Yeah,
Yeah, to host like a regional tournament or something, you have to have a 200-foot field.
and this
I
is
don't think
not gonna be fields for.
We would not hold
These are-
tournaments here.
These are for kids that are basically gonna be 12 and under to go out and truly do little type of stuff. So. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, advice, direction?
Yeah, and I think overarching, this will fall under the auspices of our master planner and our amenity master plan scope. So we don't necessarily need to get too far into because I think we've got people on board that can take a look and are very versed in what we can do with a field and just given the constraints. So
As far as the actual design piece?
yeah,
Okay. All right, any other thoughts on the 6 o'clock part? All right.
Yeah.
Discussion of project manager. Dave, is that you?
yeah, it'll be short and sweet. I have a draft RFQ. I think I'm going to expand that into RFP. Just to, I guess, to define what I'm talking about. RFQ will be a request for qualifications, but not really specifying any particular scope or cost, right? So just kind of weeding people. I think I've got a set of 4 or 5 highly qualified firms already. So now work on actually making an RFP. Unless anybody else here thinks otherwise, that initial RFQ step into it. But that was just the way.
If you've got 4 or 5 that you're comfortable with, and anybody else wants to weigh in, I don't know. Got 4 or 5, if they're of the quality you got for the Charette thing, then we.
Yeah, I went through what I have, something very applicable, but it was an RFQ, not an RFQ. So I've got to work with Angel and he'll get something drafted on more of an RFP and more detailed.
Got some public stuff in there. Got things about public work. Or just run it past me when you're done, so I can just make sure.
Okay.
But don't use too much.
No,
She doesn't have the $105 an hour rate.
it's still pretty, it's pretty good. I hate to tell you that. It's like-
But she has templates that you just pull up the shelf. Much easier.
Okay, what do you think realistically we would have the RFP out by next meeting, so we actually have responses back by the May meeting?
Yeah.
The idea?
That's the idea.
And I would echo the earlier conversation, particularly I like the format that we did when we did a separate one just for the charrettes. If you're anticipating we're gonna do that level of an interview with those amount of responses, I would encourage us now to think about doing a special meeting just for that. I like the fact that that was the only thing we were focusing on and we had time just to do that.
Got it. Like we did with the planning, Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's any other comments from the board, I'd say as you zero in on that response timeline, let's get something separate set up.
I mean, assuming we can send that out without, do we need to have a board approved RFP to go out?
No.
Okay, good, then
Unless you all wanna see it.
I trust your.
I got it.
Yeah, I would rely on Dave now.
See, everybody trusts you. We don't trust you. Well, it's,
I'm saying. They talk to me.
Okay. Question, I guess, just to piggyback on it, or if it's gonna be somewhere else. Where are you guys at as far as, I know we weren't signing the charrette one yet, but do we have, everything we needed to negotiate?
No,
out of
we
that?
got information back. Brenda just sent it to me last week
Okay,
from them, so I should be able to put together sort of a rough outline they could look at. for-
Good. Of course, they are chomping at the bit to get involved, and this is where the discussion, Don, I'm glad you're here to kind of piggyback on what they're able to do and not do in that. But there's a master planning group meeting coming up next week. Next week?
Task force?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's next week.
What day is it?
I think the second, if I remember correctly. Which would be, I think, the next milestone as far as, CROA activity goes. And we know that they are very interested in establishing communication and getting a relationship with the master plan group. So,
As is the board.
so they could be there in force for that meeting is what I'm getting at.
And when is that?
Second,
I'm double checking, but we can.
Of April?
okay,
That's like,
bring it up.
Are you gonna be at that meeting?
well, I guess I have questions then on how are we putting together the pricing?
Well, that's,
There was like a
so
lump sum
we-
and hourly and.
we
really
were
had to-
thinking that it'd be on hold because there was a lot of unknowns with the property.
my next question was, when are we actually pulling the trigger on this?
But they said, well, we can do all of these tasks up till task 10 without knowing the exact, if the envelope of what they have to work with as far as property parcels and that. So they can do a lot of the preparatory work, research, evaluations, and coordination.
And they're willing to do that at risk without a contract?
That I don't know.
Okay, that's.
There you
So,
Yeah, and
sorry to
we-
be judged.
But,
Yeah.
well, but we have to initiate that, like, okay, this is something that is ongoing.
Well,
So,
Okay,
So.
It-
With no contract with the district?
That's why I'm
No,
asking the
we-
question.
We,
That's
we
where we
can't
at.
as a government work without a contract.
Yeah.
We can put together a sort of rough form, but their proposal did not really lay out things in a form. They just have like a one-page agreement.
Right.
With terms, they don't really have, so I can kind of take the proposal and break it out. I'll have to price the different sections.
and so what we've done previously is they can do things. That's not billable, whatever they want, and it's public meeting, right? So
Yes.
That's plain, so, I mean, they can just show up from perspective of
Mhm.
concerned citizens or whatever, right?
They're not gonna just show up.
But they might. Because
We'll let they can, let it.
Listen,
Yeah.
if they want to show up,
Because, listen, from their perspective, paperwork be damned, there's something going on the second that has something to do with their final product.
They may not show up with a full force of 10 people, but.
they don't have to.
Well,
I'll give you an example. They, had a representative at the last one where they did the, community meeting.
well, so let me ask.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well, but let me ask the $1 million question that Tom was trying to get to, but didn't get to. Given the context of what we just talked about with the school district and what we just talked about with CIFTOD, what's the feeling of this board from when we start pulling triggers on? I mean, the two that really seem important are the charrette group, because they need to start marching with CROA, who I think CROA is actually ahead of us on that one, that's what I'm saying.
There, yeah, I think they may be. I didn't know where you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whenever we get caught up with the project manager one, because again, that person should be sort of there throughout the entire duration of whatever we're end up doing. So again, what's the temperature of the board, knowing where we're at between the school district and CIFTOD on when are we serious about pulling triggers? When are we gonna start making money?
And the other wrinkle is, what about CROA and their building? Want to tie that conversation in, because obviously what we build could be very different if CROA is gonna build a building next door, or if we have access to that parcel for something.
And again, that's part of our master plan
Yeah,
discussion.
But I think also would absolutely be a joint workshop discussion of, you know, and that's where I'm trying to
Yeah,
juggle 3 or 4 different
no,
things.
I get it,
The
I'm the
joint workshop one, I think, Don, we could, my opinion, we could do sooner rather than later.
That'd be fine.
It doesn't cost anybody anything, and really, it's nothing more, even if it's just a status check of, hey, we got a lot of open-ended stuff, but at least here's the open-ended things we have, here's the open-ended things you have, so we're trying to line some of those up. I think sooner would be
I
better.
would be fine with that. Absolutely. And I know my board.
Okay.
And the other parcel here, I mean, if we're talking about a master plan for everything. CROA's got a bunch of.
That's the best idea. Don, did you hear that?
Yeah, I wonder who came up with that one.
What if we helped you develop and hear things on the civic border? Jan,
Wow,
idea.
would that be a fair,
I know, I hate to say it, but there's a piece of property sitting there that we know who owns.
I'm gonna call Jim names. No, I agree.
I'm just trying to figure out still the April meeting.
Of open communications.
All right, so let's do this then. So for actions, Don, you and I can work together.
Yes, the
Staff.
MPEG, yes, there's Tuesday, April 2nd, it's a community meeting.
Okay, so Dave, they choose to show up with no contract or whatever?
Yes, but we need to make sure we accelerate or keep
I will
things.
I'll accelerate. I did not know we were starting that.
Okay.
It would be great if they or you could make contact with me or the chairman of the task force to just coordinate the fact that they're gonna be there.
Yeah, and kind of work them into the agenda.
Yeah, work them into the agenda.
So Dave, you can take that.
April 2nd.
What time?
Oh, that's our budget workshop,
No,
is it?
no.
I don't know, I get this stupid
Let me-
website. I think it was six.
Yeah,
nothing
it's
that week.
it's the budget workshop at 6.
Is
I thought
at
we
the
put it,
second?
I put,
Yes, April 2nd.
I think we moved it back to the 17th.
I don't have that
It's
on.
not advertised on the 2nd anymore.
Brenda?
We did move the budget workshop to Wednesday, April 17 at 6.
Yeah, the second is at 6 p.m. at 104.
Oh, good, well then I am free now.
Okay, so Dave, you'll be in attendance then on the
Yeah,
second.
Brenda, can you update that? Because,
Calendar,
the
yeah.
calendar invite, because mine still says the second.
So does mine.
Mine doesn't.
Well, if you look at the CBB website, it's 17th.
It's the Outlook, yeah, I
I
don't know.
know,
Website.
I know.
Yeah, I can try to send it as long as it doesn't cancel it for the 17th for y'all. Yeah, let me try that.
I missed the updated,
That's like Tuesday.
wait, no,
17th is a Wednesday.
That's correct. Yes.
You found that out. I'd be afraid of showing up here and nobody be with you.
Would be the first time.
Yeah, well,
All right, so that's thing number one. So you'll take care of the second. Thing number two, Don, you and I can work with staff to figure out a date for a joint workshop in the next 30 or 40 days.
Yes, sir.
That's thing number two.
That'd be a cool thing.
Thing number three, internally, back to my question before. We've got to have some sort of feeling guys of when we're going to pull the trigger on the charrette contract. What are our thresholds? What do we?
why are we not? Oh, phrase it that way.
Because we have no inclination right now, today, that the school district is, I mean,
you know,
I wouldn't say that.
I think until we get the letter of intent,
Well,
I don't wanna.
but, okay, so,
but there are two separate points there. We absolutely have an inclination from what was on, and listen, that's publicly posted. You can go watch it on YouTube.
What? To make it easy without having to speculate, why don't we just do an initial contract for the first phase or
Well,
two?
that's
for
what I was gonna get at.
$10,000?
Regardless of any of these externalities, we're still gonna have these, a master.
see, now
plan.
that I wouldn't have a problem with. I have a problem spending like almost $250,000 on the fact that I mean, they might be really for it, but if they're really for it, they would have already voted for it. I mean, I'm looking for a vote. That's what I'm
So
looking for.
I agree with you.
We have from the charrette group that they can get up through step 10.
Okay,
So what we can do is contract that, and all of those are independent of what property we have.
And that's under one fixed price number they would do.
Oh, that's what
we'll
those
have
are.
to- yeah, that's a lot better.
See, doing those little steps, I don't have a problem spending that amount of money. It's just that when we're looking at.
I don't know, I don't know what that amount of money is. That's
We don't either.
that's $230 out of $250,000.
Dave said 10,000.
Okay.
I will
Did you-
never say.
Jack, did you say- He said 10,000.
I heard it. 10.
Don, did he say 10,000?
You know,
I just swear I heard that number, but I
That,
don't-
see?
now that was Mark's rate per hour. That's.
Oh, that was
Don't worry, he's never going to a meeting again.
All right, so you guys will find a quote for them to do that. And again, this goes back to the tempo of our meetings. I would really like to not wait another 30 days to then come back and find out what that number is. So then we can vote on it. And then 30 days from now, we're starting.
Well, I think we already approved them going forward.
Yeah, we approved
Yeah.
them to enter into exclusive.
Like, we're gonna,
Contract
if
negotiations.
we're gonna approve dollar amounts,
We want to
we gotta have a meeting.
No, I'm not,
So,
and I'm saying now, are we,
Okay.
I'm gonna throw out a number.
but we don't know what but what if, okay, but they're supposed to work out the details of that number.
I'm gonna reverse the conversation.
Okay.
What can you get for $50,000? How far into the process can you get? And I'm throwing out an arbitrary number here, guys. If we wanna make it 25,000, whatever else.
That's one way to do it.
So that you've got a target. that
This is
we're
all unbudgeted anyway, right?
It's
Yeah,
gonna
correct.
have a line
None
item
of this is budgeted this year.
Don is.
Perfect timing on the whole thing. I was talking to Lauren. The task force is ready to go to survey. They're ready to do that in the next month or so, too. So working in with the charrette would be,
Yeah. The problem is, even if we start these guys today, was it like?
Couple months, yeah.
oh, yeah, and then,
Yeah.
but again, they're just getting ready to get started, so
Okay.
they could push it back a little, tweak it, move it,
Okay.
but it's,
More than
I'd
like-
love to see us work together.
More to my point, though, I don't wanna wait 30 days to find out what the number is and then approve the number. If we can give some guidance here, whether a number that we're comfortable backing into or something.
I'm comfortable, I'll throw out the number. I'm comfortable with 15,000 with a 5,000 buffer on top of that. Right.
Oh, he said 20.
Well, no, because if you hit 21, we're going to a meeting. Right?
Yeah.
We'll see if we-
This is not to exceed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
No, they operate on
so we'll see how many tasks we can get not to exceed
within
15 to
that,
20-ish.
right, and right now it's research and attending meetings, so
Mhm.
Yes.
that's pretty cheap.
Okay.
When they start designing, it's expensive.
Is that a motion that you're making?
I think you just did.
yeah, that's my motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Sandra?
I'm sorry, Cassandra let me know she had to leave about 15 minutes ago, so she is no longer online. It's just the four of you.
Okay.
Just the four.
All right, well then,
I got a motion in a second. All those in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? That's $20,000. Plus, I don't know how 15 plus 5 is.
Because you aim for
It's calm now.
15 and if you can get 16 or 17. Pass 16.
By now, it's 30.
Okay, that's.
Wife
What's the
Wife math is $100,000 to start.
Did he say wife now?
I'm making sure Crystal watches that one.
She already knows.
Okay. All right, guys, I really like that, because that was my biggest concern, is I really don't want to drag it out, and I appreciate it, agree 100%. We need to have something, but we can't have the charrette thing sitting around for, honestly,
Well,
best case, I think it could be 90 days before we get LOIs.
but I think, again, this goes back to trying to coordinate with Crow. Trying to coordinate that survey.
Yep.
We have it on that track. Listen, it's one thing, if we spend 20,000.
Yep.
15 is fine. If we spent that and said, hey, this isn't working out.
Yep.
Okay,
We can back up.
we can back out. It is a loss. Okay, it is, but it's different than spending, $250,000 and.
Yep.
And hopefully by that point, if we're at the 2-month period, we will know what everyone is really wanting outside of Pro and CCD, right? Where they are.
Well, and I
I'm
think,
hoping because,
I mean, tying the whole conversation back in, I think key to the joint workshop that we're gonna try to get in the next 30 or 40 days is getting your master plan group in there as well as official participants and not just spectators.
A rep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a rep, yeah, something that would be key having them as well, so. All right, any other conversation on any of the above?
in business matters,
No, last one we had was reapproval of sidewalk cleaning at area schools, so, we have, as long as I've been on, we have approved this every year. At the K-8, we have done their external sidewalks in our Zamboni, where we can drive our Zamboni to clean their sidewalks.
Does it fit? It doesn't fit on their sidewalks.
But it's,
It's gonna be HEY.
yeah, no, the Zamboni fits on their, on the sidewalks over by the parking lot and the open courtyard. They've got the coverage there.
Is that big enough for us to take that thing over there for it?
I
Well,
don't remember if we did that last time or not, with the parking lot.
it was either last year or the year before you did. What I would like to do is I would like to, and again, we've only done the K-8. I don't know why we've only done the K-8. We've also had a high school, and now we've got a K-5. I don't know that we need to do the K-5 will even need it this year because it's brand new. But if we're gonna do this, the community schools, I would like to see us extend the offer to all three of them.
so question for Jan, can we do it on the front?
If we stay on the sidewalk, yes, that's open to the public. Government funds, but they're being used on government
Okay.
facilities. So,
I just wanted to
yeah, no, it's.
ask that question before
I
Jack.
mean, is it a dollar now? I mean, is it a big job? But
This was something we were doing before I got on that just kept coming up every year, and we usually approve it about this time so we can get into summertime until they need to have it, so.
Cause I know on the K-8, it's
The
the
K-8,
sidewalks around, as it begins pretty grimy, I think there was one year they actually. I don't think they did the machine, the Zamboni didn't go onto the property, I think it was still just handheld.
I know the Zamboni could definitely be used out at the high school,
They have a lot of concrete.
yeah, they got a ton of concrete down there, so if we can do that, and I can talk to, I haven't brought this up with any of the principals, I wanted to blow it by you guys first, I don't think Island Village is gonna need it yet, but I think if, I mean, I would make a motion to do all three of them if they're needed for this year. If somebody would like to amend that, just to leave it as a standing policy, so we don't have to pick it up every year, I think we don't know that they're necessarily need to talk about this.
I mean, we got the capacity for it, right? We're not taking that out of cert or.
yeah, the K-8 makes sense because it's right downtown by all our stuff.
Russ, how much does it cost for us to do this?
Just waiver.
Is it 1 day, 2 day, 3 day?
KH, probably 4 days,
Well,
if not more.
2 men or 1 man?
Because those are,
Do
because those are hand
the
winding
whole
the sidewalks. Yeah.
Oh, well.
it's your chance to wave the flag if you think it's a bad idea, you know, like.
The KH, we did it last year. I don't have a problem with that.
The high
We're
school,
having a problem with the sidewalk.
I know that.
I mean, it broke down, Todd and Juan did excellent job this back 2 days, putting, I mean, it was like 100 parts. Press bearings, all that stuff, that's running fine, now all of a sudden, the little light comes on saying it's out of water. When the tank, we just filled the tanks up,
So let's,
and it's just, it's killing us.
So let's move the
Well,
Zamboni off the.
I was gonna say, let's move the Zamboni off the ice for a second.
Because we've
Yeah.
talked about this.
If the machine is working and operating.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't, I mean,
Yeah.
they get paid by the day.
And I don't-
Showing here.
I don't think the high school has anything down there that it's the hand walk, because the sidewalks in front are all 8-foot sidewalks on the boulevard. So be wide, it'd be whatever we think is handling.
They have, again, a lot.
And
Wide
they-
side.
then they should be notified first.
Oh, they've been begging for help, so
It's
Oh,
still- they should
yes,
be
right, yeah.
notified.
They have to schedule
that will be the conversation with them if
Okay.
the board is okay with it.
We'll do it in exchange for field one.
There you go. See how that worked? Okay, so a motion,
So moved.
Second.
now are we doing this for 1 year or are we doing this open-ended?
Why do we have to read?
That's my
We're
question.
gonna do it, and it works out fine, let's do it every year.
Great,
So do this as, until the board says no more,
got it.
once a year. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very well. District manager. What you got for us?
Well, in the absence of your district manager. So, one thing I had, anything I can do to facilitate the conversation with the district, just let me know. So their new district administrator will be an engineer. She worked for DOT for quite a while, so. Has,
Let's zip tie.
let's just say different qualifications than.
Okay. Do you want to talk, is that, in Angel's absence, do you want to talk about the my celebration? after?
Yeah, so the reporting in there does break down everything. I'd like to, for personal reference, I'd like to know, there's a lot of open, you can tell open and closed cases, both for Crow and CCD, it's great. But I'm wondering if we can add another field in there. If you have open and closed, but you also have to have like an acknowledged field, so you can have an open case, and maybe it was open 3 weeks ago. So I'd like to know, like, when it was, it hasn't been acknowledged, it's, yes, we got it, it got to that department. So I'm gonna see if that, because you can open up a case, nobody's touched it. I've opened up 4 cases with Pro, 2 with CCDD, and I know when I go in there, I know that the CCD has got 2 cases, 1 case from Crow has been touched, the other 3 are still open for 3 weeks. So
That's like the most important thing I'm looking for out of this.
Right.
That's not in here.
It's, well, that's what I wanna go ahead and add, cause I'm like, open means it's somebody opened the case.
Right.
But it doesn't mean anyone has acknowledged it. That's a big deal.
Acknowledge this at what?
We've started working on it. We've acknowledged it.
Oh.
We've got your case and we got your ticket. And we're gonna do something about it, as opposed to you open up a case and nobody's addressed the down tree and it's been 3 weeks.
So
right?
something indicating status is what you're looking for.
I need a status of where it's actually. It's in process, it's in work in progress. Right, because usually there's open, work in progress, closed, those are the 3
Is
stages.
that a report that's available to us right now?
It should be. It should be, but I'm not seeing it in the report.
Well, is this, what Angel said she was going to put in this month's report was the template that we should expect to see every month?
And we can ask you to redesign the report.
We can redesign.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little surprised because
It shows us a lot.
3
of
graphs
stuff.
is not a lot of what I would expect to see.
No, so we can go into more, but see, here's the problem with reporting. Whenever you go ahead and do a report, right? Everyone says, I wanna see all this stuff. And you show all the stuff, and you know what, it's not really what I want, right? You go through 3 iterations of showing what reports are. So I'm not a fan of reports based on that, because we never get the accurate reports when we actually want it.
So let's.
So we can maybe communicate, work here.
Well, I was gonna say, let's turn the conversation this way, to your point, I don't, care what color they're, I wanna see responsiveness, is
Right.
from the time somebody submits a ticket till the time that ticket's closed, I wanna make sure that there's responsiveness, and I wanna make sure that there's escalation if there's lack of responsiveness.
Right.
Everything else is good to have, and it feeds other data, how many sidewalks we fixed and everything else. My biggest concern from the community engagement perspective is the responsiveness, so if you can tackle that from 0 to N.
Right. There is one piece of responsiveness we can't measure. And that is if somebody calls in with an issue. Right? So, for example, if somebody calls in with an issue and leaves a message, right? Let's say we just never respond back, there's no way to measure that, right? If somebody calls in and we open up a ticket, then we can measure that.
Good reason.
So that is a
Good
vague,
reason to encourage everybody to use that.
they really, you can send an email.
Yep.
You can go ahead and use the app on the webpage, use the app on your phone. It's just better that way because then you're in the system. Leaving messages is very old school and it can't be measured. And then when you say I left a message and someone says you didn't, now where are we? It's a he said, she said, and it just, no one's happy. So I'm just letting you know, that's the one area where I've seen some complaints on the back porch where people go ahead and say I left a message a couple times.
Can I add just a little bit to that?
Go ahead.
Just Facebook is killing us. There's too many people, I think, that are getting hold of you guys instead of getting a hold of the office.
That's
So what I've done is I told people you need to call.
Good.
You need to go ahead and call in or use the app. You know, I got both links. You need to go ahead and do that.
people hit me up, I do the same thing, I say forward it to admin and celebration CDD or
That's
download
what I
the app.
wanted to hear.
Yeah, because the two worst words on the backboard when there's an issue is Greg Byline.
Mhm.
Because people put his name in on Greg, I'm like,
My wife's friend.
And Greg
Right.
will email me sometimes and it's like from somebody and it's
Yep.
like, I still.
Well, no, I mean, the emails I'll forward over to you guys, and
Yeah.
even those recently, now that we've got the app up and running. When I respond to those folks, and I'm copying you guys, I'm encouraging them, I just got one earlier today, I haven't had a chance to respond to. In the response, I'm gonna put back in there, please download the app, and that's how you need to submit.
I think right now where we are, it's the same thing when somebody says, somebody sped by, or somebody, broke into my home. Did you call the sheriff?
Right.
The ponds are dirty. Did you call
Yeah.
DCDD?
Did you download the
I
app?
mean, did you record it? Because that's what's supposed to happen.
And listen,
People are
guys,
supposed to do that.
there was no surprise that we needed it the first couple of months. That
Yes,
this is gonna
this
be-
is expected.
We said we did a cutover, and guess what's gonna happen over the next 60 days? We're gonna have a whole bunch of people saying, oh my God, what happened to cell service?
Somebody already did.
It's,
I mean, Celia McFadden every day for like 2 weeks, hey, we're down to this, hey, just so you know. And then people go, I didn't know, I'm like,
I got nothing.
can't help you.
Yeah, we put this out every way we can.
Yeah, so, whenever they mean stuff, I'm like, here's, go to one other thing though, if you go to the Crow website.
Mhm.
They show entities, they show every entity in town except CCDD. I don't know why, it used to be there, it's not there
We're done.
anymore. So maybe I'll. As Jack is the Crow liaison, the CCD liaison Crow, maybe he can take that up. It should be there, just a link to our webpage.
Well, so two things. Number one, we talked about not one meeting, but 2 meetings ago, we were gonna put a link on our page to my celebration. I go on there now. and there's
It's not
Oh,
there.
no.
It's
It's a
there.
written request.
No, it's the
there.
bid request is, if you click on it.
Okay,
You hit the upgrade corner.
Yeah, then you
right
can get
one.
there.
then you
Yeah,
hit
I
record
tried
action.
that.
There it's at.
okay. Disregard, I missed it then. I was,
That actually was there like 4 months ago.
okay. Yeah. What was my other one? We're gonna shoot down because probably already fixed. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, the other one was, to be touched. Canoa's property is still listed on the app. Canoa is not paying into this.
We got to okay.
Well, can we remove Canoa?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay,
That's the.
I would-
Yes, we can.
I would prefer, although we don't have a Canoa liaison, but some have good relationships, if anybody would care to re-engage. And maybe it's best through Lauren. Hey, Lauren, now that Croa has approved this, and Canoa kind of indicated they were gonna go as Croa goes.
I think Lauren would be the one, and whoever the liaison is for Canoa, because,
We don't have a Canoa liaison.
no, but Crow has a liaison to Canoa.
To Canoa.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can find out who it is.
I
I
don't
can
know,
take that one.
okay, I don't know that we need to go through Crow to get to know, we can just email. It's really gonna come down to Lauren. Lauren's gonna be the one that.
They're gonna listen to her, but if you had her and the Crow rep talking, reminding, pushing, it'll.
Rather than taking the time to find a way to exclude them from the app, I would just.
Okay, then let me.
It's a matter of time.
What's that?
It's just a matter of time before they get on board.
Yeah,
No, they're just waiting for it to continue to be free so they don't have to pay into it.
Well, at every meeting.
I'm sorry, I said that out loud, but I'm gonna call it what it is. So,
no, I get it.
okay, so you'll tackle that with Lauren then?
Yes.
Okay, very well.
And everyone, if we can just add a few things, Tom, to your point about being able to track, the same thing happens when they send us emails. I know Jacinia and Russ talked a little bit about what do we do with those? She is going to start making a ticket for phone calls and emails so that they get into the system.
Yeah, and so I believe with the mindset with GoGov on this, you could go ahead and email and it would open up a ticket. There was a process for that. So maybe it's a particular email address that has to be used or whatever, but there is it's not the same as the phone calls. You can't, because a lot of systems now you can do an email and it'll open up case.
No, I meant the emails that come to the admin at Celebration CDD email. She is going to physically, manually make a ticket for them.
No, I get it, but maybe we need to change that email address. So it
If-
automatically
Right.
opens.
Sure, and then advertise that around, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yep.
the thing, that way, again, all that info gets in there, we don't have to do anything.
Right. But we have our meetings on Fridays and generally things are going well. CROA is still, they need their push notifications and the GoGov folks have been working well with them. So it's more down to minor details. I mean, Jacinia says everything is working great. She is not facing any issues. And CROA really isn't either. They just have some additional requests that they would like the app on their side to do.
Yep.
While we're on the topic, I sent this to Angel, doesn't appear to be fixed. Maybe it's just me, but when you have the option to add a photo, you have three options, no photo, camera, or gallery.
Right.
From the gallery function doesn't work. Anything I've tried to do.
So that was an issue that was reported, like 4 or 5 months ago, and they did fix it. You're on Android?
Yes.
So we need to follow up on that. So let me, Brenda, while I have you on the line. Angel was, and I haven't seen this yet, we're supposed to have a spreadsheet that lists all the different issues with the app to go ahead and be listed. And so not only should we get maybe a monthly update on that spreadsheet, but that was going to go to the tech committee of CROA as well, because they have to go ahead and answer CROA on how the app is working for them, since they use it. So I need an update on that, because we should have, because there's been a few issues since we launched. So we should have a list of all those issues. Have they been resolved? The status of them, who's working on it, that sort of thing. And this is one of them. The photo library is a big deal because I believe you can share your entire library. I think that was the issue before. You had the option to go into your library, but you had to share the whole thing, which you don't want to do. So also, I'll work with that one because I might have the answer to that, but we should look at that.
Okay, I'll let her know.
All right, anything else on GoGo? I reported my celebration.
Actually, I'm just starting, it's easier to write GoGo than my celebration.
It is.
Just keep fine.
Just put $1 in the jar for paying.
As long as it reaches 20,000, keep giving it to me.
Say it as many times as you want.
Consideration of appointment to audit committee for vacancy left by Brian Kemp.
How many people do we have? There's 6 people on it, and I'm gonna say, by the time you appoint somebody, it's gonna be a waste of time, because our meeting is Friday,
I
1 o'clock.
I would leave it, I make a motion, to leave it at 6 people.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
If you wanna do it for next year, do it earlier.
We got to 7 because we didn't want to kick anybody off.
Right.
Frank, so it's the problem solved.
Okay.
Any other district manager items, sir?
Not that I'm aware of.
Any other questions for district manager?
Just a few.
Go ahead. I have a few I have comments on the field manager report. Go for it, you first. So there is one picture where a homeowner has cut down one of the palm trees on CCD property. Wait, that's what it says.
Well, there was a huge tree that was probably 50 foot tall that was there when they built the house.
Right.
So they ran the sidewalk like that.
Mhm.
And it was palm tree that probably.
Where's this one located?
This tall at the time. Now it was like 12 foot tall.
Okay.
There was another huge tree within about 3 foot of the other huge tree that we had cut down a while back, got struck by lightning.
Right.
We were kind of going back and forth and arguing, not really arguing, but it's like, all right, so it technically CDD easement, but it's got nothing to do with us. We didn't plant the palm tree's existing. If the homeowner next door cut the tree down, that should be a crow.
But what property is it on?
The easement?
This is,
But we didn't
this
plant-
is an easy, well, we didn't
Yeah,
plant
we
it.
didn't-
We didn't plant the trees.
Well,
But if it's on our property, it's our tree.
that's my point. If it's on, legally, if it's on our property, it's our tree, right? They have to ask permission to cut it. It's a bad precedent to allow people to go ahead and cut trees down left and right.
Whether or not we planted it or not, it's.
It's still on our
CDD tree on the CDD area.
So there's another tree there. Right now, is there any trees left in that area?
Yeah, there's a.
So when are they gonna cut that one?
Don't know that they are or not.
See where I'm going with,
Well,
right?
I'm looking at this picture. Where was the tree? Is it on the other side of the sidewalk? What picture?
Yeah,
It's
it's
on
on
the
the
other
back.
side of the sidewalk. There
It's on
are
the-
some areas,
It's on the backside.
there are some areas that
It is
there's
124.
yeah.
No, this is on that.
But it's outside of our property if it's on the, so
Looks
the.
like it's in the front yard.
It does, so here's the thing, there are, I think, 3 places in Celebration. Where, for some reason, the CCD easement all goes right in there, because it was like a preserve type thing. There's one near my house, I have no idea why they did it. The sidewalk comes in, it goes around this palm tree, goes in, and that is CCD property, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
So
Right.
if you're telling me the honest answer is no, probably that absolutely doesn't.
Well,
Well, it's in the neighborhood.
it's in the neighborhood, but. I mean, there's some areas, where is this, in South?
I went and knocked on the door, cause I talked to the guy before and they weren't home to get the true,
Right.
hey, was it this guy or, cause it's. Sometimes when he said, she said,
It- it
no,
is-
we didn't see
Is
it.
this in South, what village is this?
This is in, East Village 3.
East
So
Village.
Nash and I think Wire.
I know where this is, so there's
It's a
2
corner.
different areas that look like preserve areas. It's whittled down,
Yeah, it's a real small area.
it is, but there's another area that's a little big in between homes, but
But did you?
I don't know, it's not that I wanna go ahead and find the guy, but I'm just saying,
It's who did it is my question. Was it the guy?
I don't.
We don't know. We don't
No.
know if it's the house
I
or
haven't
the
been
guy
back
next
there
door.
to
did it.
talk to him.
Why don't we-
So let me ask you a question.
yes,
skip the
We're
rules.
I'm gonna be meeting with Don, talking about properties that need to be transferred over to Crow. Is that little piece of property something that should be transferred to Crow and out of our?
Crow's not gonna want it, they're gonna want it to the home.
they'll want it to the homeowner, I don't know if we can do that.
No, we can't.
That is fine. It's just weird, these are weird spots.
I think what it is they wanted to save, if there was a bigger tree than what's in it right now, I think they wanted to save the tree, so do that with the sidewalk.
It's just
Instead
weird
of
how they
bulldozing
did.
the tree over and running the sidewalk.
We sell it to the homeowner for $1 or a cheeseburger on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's on property. We had the other guy ask at the end of the cul-de-sac, because he wants to do his garage.
Weird.
Sure, no, it's not.
No, we already had the garage guy that wanted
Yeah.
to make a bigger garage.
So we should ignore it, is what you're saying at this point. I mean,
I would say if he cuts the huge tree down,
so,
but
but
probably ought to go to
We
court.
need to preemptively have a conversation.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You need to tell him he can't cut down.
Yeah.
If he gets-
Because otherwise,
He's gonna start cutting down.
Yeah, if all sins are forgiven until this point, it is what it is. Like, sounds like there's an ambiguity that maybe he didn't know it wasn't his property, but
they're gonna be mighty expensive, to place that other tree.
Oh, 10,000.
That was one, right, well, the trees, I can't believe how expensive they are,
Tell
full
them
grown
if they
trees.
could charge, place it, but if it doesn't really, that may get a pass.
Did you capturing that with me?
Okay. Next, what else you got?
That's about it, that's all I really have, I do know there's some proposals out there. That I don't wanna push in just yet, that, United has done, because we did. I know Angel, and Brett have done pretty much a tour of Celebration. Most of the stuff is low key type stuff. But he's sending some of the proposals, so we can discuss this in budget. And then we have to kind of lay out which are really critical that we might have to do like right now that are like, oh. Or, you know, and kind of stage it out, right? Because I don't wanna, if there's no need for something right now, let's not do it, right? We've got enough stuff on our plate. But just if there's some areas that, yeah, we have to do them. Some are very minor. I mean, and they went through all the alleys. You know, missing bushes, they're just really trying to go ahead and you know, spot replacement as opposed to complete overalls. So that was good. So we'll probably get those in the next meeting. But that's all I have.
Dave, did you have something else back on the district manager report?
Yeah. Actually, I had something else for, my Celebration Florida app, that I forgot about, which was, I don't see anywhere where we can report mosquitoes.
Oh, it's in there.
Where?
I'll find it for you.
Found where that was, couldn't find it.
You know, put a request, your house.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, where it is. All right, so, I mean, these are some legacy items as well, like our roof, have we got an engineer that kind of looked at it and say.
Last I heard from Angel,
Yeah, they never scheduled or never showed up.
she was getting a new company that was a day or two away from having a phone call, and that was like 2 weeks ago.
I thought it was.
You want a cheeseburger?
No, I don't owe you anything. Every time I do that, it costs me twice as much, so you forget that.
Okay. Do we know anything on the roof?
Or do you not know?
Brenda, do you have any idea?
No, sir, I sure don't.
All right, this is like 6 months we're on this now. We're coming up on the rainy season. This is insane that we can't get a.
We have our leaf Friday.
Oh, God.
This is.
Here?
Yeah, I gave her the name of somebody that one of the construction lawyers gave. Let me try to find that name again and give it to her.
I don't know, is there just a shortage of roof engineering? I'm not trying to be sarcastic, is there a problem with roofers in the Orlando area? Dave, do you know, we usually have a Rolodex of good ideas.
I already gave it to him. Oh, I'm not sure if she thought it would. It's, you go to a civil engineering firm, like Universal Engineering Services,
Those thresholds.
yes.
The threshold.
Threshold inspection, right?
You don't
It's
have,
like a condition report, you get a property report, but you need an engineer.
you don't have anybody on staff, Mark, that we can vault it over to you guys?
Not for roofing or structural, no.
Okay. We gotta get something done. This is insane. I don't know what, he just keeps calling people, they keep not responding. It's sure we go to the yellow page thing.
Yeah, we had somebody that was supposed to come and they just never came to the appointment.
Yeah, there were a couple I used at the district. I'll reach out to them.
Can you, I don't know if Angel's underwater on it. Can you maybe take that one and
Yep.
take the lead and tackle it and just run this to ground? And we've got to get somebody out here because there's litigation stuff against that as well. That we need to get closed up.
And do we have Danny Bumpus actually contracted to do something with the second floor or not?
He was supposed to present it at this meeting.
I will keep it on the list then.
Well, so let's talk about that for a second. I don't know what he's done so far. I don't know how far he's gotten. I haven't gotten an answer. But at the sheriff's office, but I think it was tapped out the other request. I don't know that they're going to play. They were hot to trot when we first brought it up, and then they're back on the idea of Publix, and then they started. It pissed me off. They started shopping it out to other communities. I made my frustrations on that one known.
Yeah.
It's election season, that's all I'm gonna say. Do we want to continue with Danny doing that upstairs area on the idea that we would actually use that space for something else, or do we want to just put a stop? And say,
Well, without a tenant, I will say in mind, to properly,
the tenant may be us, I don't know if we have,
build it
I
out.
don't know if we have utility, I mean, I don't know what else we would use that space for once we clear it out. I think the consensus originally was, when they had first started waffling a little bit a few months ago, was if we, the consensus from the board at that point was we still would want to finish it out, to have it finished out. But I also recognize at this point, Tom's concern earlier, we're overrunning other budget things and all that, we really shut the room, have something immediate on the horizon.
Why don't we just push this off to the next meeting? I'd like to hear Angel's thoughts on that.
Have you seen any drawings from Danny at all?
We put him on contract 5 months ago.
I've seen some drawings. I don't know if it was from email or he was in here last week too, or if he dropped them off.
I have absolutely no idea what would take 5 months to do drawings, like I mean, that's an 800 square foot room.
All right, so
Maybe
I
he
guess we're gonna
said,
go with Angel.
see an angel and didn't get bored with you guys or something. I'll
Well,
look into that.
But even with that though, do we, this question
The
remains.
bigger question is, even if Danny was
I
here.
don't, without a tenant, if they're not interested, I don't know what else we should
Well,
do.
the only thing I'm asking Angel is there a need for us to use that facility, that area?
Well,
If there isn't a need,
us
then
two guys that are here,
Right at the moment, huh?
No,
Then-
Storefronts and stuff, Christmas tree and,
Down.
you know.
I don't. I mean, I was excited if the sheriff was actually gonna be in town. I think that was a great idea.
and they
And I just don't know why they just don't think that's.
came out hot and heavy, and then all of a sudden, 3 or 4 months into it, they switched and said, well, we're kind of looking elsewhere, and well, it's public.
Whatever.
let's shelve it. When we get a new sheriff, we'll.
Don't know what it's gonna
New sheriff in town, there you go. Okay, so do I have permission from the board then, if we need to terminate his contract, to do that, and we do whatever we negotiate costs and settle and whatever else?
We're seeing where he is.
Yeah, see where he is.
95% done, you might as well.
We might have already, might have already.
Already done.
Yeah.
Well, we're 95% done, we've got 4 months to
Yeah.
send it to us. Okay. We will bring that back, but I think it,
Just give Angel or somebody the discretion to talk to him and see if it's worth stopping.
I
If he's
agree.
only
Yeah.
50% there, then stop him, but it's
Yeah.
almost complete. Let's-
Should we vote on them?
do I have a motion,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Very well, so we'll get,
There we go.
Carrie, do you want to work with Angel on this?
Yes.
Or Jen, do you need to do that, or is it Angel?
I think you guys can.
Yeah,
handle
Angel
that,
has-
yeah.
Next is our Hurricane FEMA claim done. That's awesome.
Brenda's handling that. Brenda?
Brenda actually
Yes,
sent on,
we are
Wonderful.
done and we have received all of the money that we have requested that we were eligible for.
Brenda, did you put that to the whole board? That-
I saw that.
Yeah, we got it.
85% of what we're.
I'm just
Yes.
bringing that to make sure that we're done.
Oh, that's great.
Yep, yes, we are done.
Since you get 1 year to do the.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I wanted Brenda to be able to toot her horn and say, hey, we got this done.
You want to get a cheeseburger?
I want screen time, that's all I wanted.
There you go, very well.
And a good one. too.
Thank you for bird dogging that, Brenda.
And we'll get paid by the
Long
order.
Process, so.
No problem. Thank you, guys. Long process, but yeah,
Yeah, it was, but thank you.
you're welcome.
I know the residents ask about that a lot, so that's a really big deal.
I know.
They do, that we're actually getting money, we're actually doing that. That was a big deal, so.
Let's see, digitization, and that's always been on like the 5-yard line, but I don't know if we've completed that yet. And then last month, I think Angel brought up the concept of getting a SharePoint for the board so we can access all that stuff.
Yes. That wasn't going to be done until the document digitization was done. But the fact that she hasn't engaged about doing the SharePoint thing, because that was something she was gonna reach out to me about,
Means it's the other things undone.
means it's not done yet.
That's
So I will put that on the list of things to do. Unless you know of anything with document digitization status.
Well, with all that new money we got from FEMA, we're also talking about putting cameras here, right?
Yeah, that,
So there is a quote forthcoming, Brenda said, for the meeting to do
Correct.
something so we don't always see Gary's head. Gary said on that side of the room this time.
I criticized it, I did, sorry.
So it was like camera, Wi-Fi, the whole AV.
So it's a camera and then some sort of area microphones, so we don't have these things falling off the desk and
When that
cleaning up,
breaks,
cleaning up all that
again.
stuff over there as well.
I suggested internet be a part of that because that's
Yeah.
sometimes the biggest problem. But yes, Angel is working on that and she does have a proposal that will be forthcoming.
Okay, and Russ had made the comment before, Brenda, if you can just make sure, you know, if that rises to the level of, hey, it can't be Russ sitting in here over lunch with Chick-fil-A doing that himself. If we need to get a professional company, then that should be part of the quote.
Correct, yes. And I think on the digitization, that's hard to say at night. I think all that we had left to do are the maps.
That's all we've had for 2 or 3
Yeah.
months.
It should be done already. I mean, that is no longer than that.
What is going on with the maps?
I don't know. Russ, do you know? Somebody was coming up from Coral Springs, weren't they?
No idea on that one.
That's been the status
Okay.
we've had for 2 or 3 months, and somebody's coming up from Coral Springs to do maps.
How are they
Okay.
gonna do some of the maps?
Yeah, can we get an answer by the end of this week, please, to the board of exactly who is coming when to do what, with what maps?
And the expected deadline of when it's gonna be completed, because I think we're at that point, we need a deadline, we need to be done
Yep.
with this.
Expected completion date. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep,
So-
got it.
Thanks, Brenda.
Sure thing.
My feeling was I did not fill out a evaluation for Rivermark.
I
Nor
did
did
not
I.
either. I'm not either, so.
Brenda, can you send us a contract, please?
I will send you the contract and the evaluation form again, if I can get them and then we'll put that on the April agenda.
Yeah, yes, I will have it done by then, I don't know about this guy. but I'll-
Yeah, listen,
Tom, we already got yours, thanks. You want to redo it?
proper authority, right?
Yeah, not sent one.
So I saw an evaluation on 2 vendors, Solitude and who's the other vendor that we got an evaluation on? Mark, yeah, that's the, okay, gotcha. But I have not seen one on the street sweeper.
We said we weren't gonna, or she was gonna do one, I think.
I think we were gonna get one on the street sweeper.
Yeah, that was gonna be.
Okay, but nobody else has seen one.
We didn't want to do one in United Land.
They're,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that, all right, so that's still outstanding. All right. Good.
Last question I had for district manager then would be, where are we on the RFP recompete status for the Solitude contract? That was supposed to be going out this month in anticipation for all the proposals we earned next month. We'd be voting on something next month, and we're still on track for that.
I know she has, because she keeps asking me for information, so I'm sending her the information
You got
that I have for these contracts. I don't know where she is on that. I do know she's working on it, but I don't know where she is on that.
Okay, because we do need to get those. So
Yeah,
if we
we're-
fall into the budget cycle, we need to get those.
Correct.
We're approaching summer.
So with that being said too, we probably should not go ahead with any extra work that Solitude we can send proposals for.
I don't want a pond to stay green just because of this. though.
No, that's not, no, I'm talking about like the plan.
Okay, so here, see, the plannings have to get done. But here's the thing, are they gonna do it like in a month, they're gonna do it by August? That's my question. I think if we sign any contract that we want them to do some of the plannings, they got like 20 days to complete. Right, and then I'm okay with that, but if we're gonna go longer, then we hold off.
I guess I got a problem with that just because Angel's made repeated comments that she's hearing that we're being overcharged by Solitude. And if it's not, you know, the necessary stuff for me from Solitude is when an algae bloom explodes. Other than that, if there aren't plants around something,
You want to punt until later.
I would punt until the new.
But some of the plants though, that on Water Street, they're the ones that plant and fail.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
They
Those are
should-
things that are
probably
important,
10%.
so they fix them, no doubt.
I think we push them to fix those, and I agree, let's wait. Because they're looking great. That's looking pretty good, we'll probably get more growth
Oh, yeah.
anyways, but if we can maybe hold them to the contract, I agree, Rick.
Okay. A quick question for Dave. You ever done work with Walter P. Moore?
Nope.
Okay, I use him as structural engineer for, I'll give him, I have a good really relationship with the guy. I'll call him, have him come out.
All right, any other questions for district manager? Field manager, we already went through the report.
I got a question on it. Russ, can you put a little more descriptive address type information there? Because I'm looking at it says trees planted. Okay, I kind of missed where that was.
Well, I mean, there was like 12 trees and I didn't go to all 12 trees.
No, but
We planted.
well, I mean,
Kind of,
the picture you have there, I mean, just give me a
Would
little.
it help if we just said Southville? You don't want an address.
Well, no, just so
We used to have addresses.
I don't really need a specific address, but then,
Street, that was a street.
yeah. I
I'll
mean,
give you the address.
all right, and then you'd cited a truck in the easement, parked in the easement. We need to send a letter to Crow because there's trucks in the alley easement over there behind North Village all the time. And he's supposed to be there.
Send a letter to Crow and just tell them. I think they're parked on our easement.
Well, the
I
one
mean, this
was,
one, it shouldn't be.
This one was,
the first one was in a white truck
Yeah.
on the circle.
Yeah.
Oh, I went right up there, but they moved it.
no, I know, but there's
That
two
was
specific
Conrad.
homes on the alley in
Longview.
yeah, that park in the easement all the time. And I gotta tell you, partly it's because Covenants does not do a very good job.
Yeah, but
I don't believe we can do anybody in Covenant. No, I don't believe we can do anybody in Covenant.
you know, everybody in Covenants, especially that guy right over there. The problem is that. You know, if it's repetitive,
It is repetitive.
so we should be the ones towing. Ticketing, whatever it is.
I don't think you can tell unless you've got a post in there that says who's towing and where it's being towed to.
If they're parking illegally on our property, I need to have signs all over town saying.
How far there?
There's some
Well, start with you need signs right off the bat.
for towing, you need to post
Yeah.
the towing
Can I just
agency.
post them at the entrances to town if you park on CDB property illegally?
Well, can you boot them?
I mean, we just had this
You
with
can
the,
enter into a towing contract, but then you have to have signs at the entrances, which is kind of hard here because you've got,
we only got 3.
yeah,
Yeah,
but then you have entrances to the each.
It's
little
only four
subdivision.
17 exits.
I think it's just easier to send a letter to Crow and say, you got people parking in this area here.
Crow's not gonna, I'm sorry, Crow's not gonna handle it.
Well,
We have enforcement.
There is enforcement on the Crow side because they're not allowed to park on the grass. That's the documents.
Right.
That's only in the county roads, with the county and our local. We
So,
don't have-
but can we, so let me ask you this for signs, cause I know we wanna go ahead. I don't want more signs in the entrance to Celebration, because we got enough of them. The three hospital signs in one intersection, wonderful. But can we put signs at that location
We could.
and go ahead and say, you know,
I have to look at the statute because usually it's the entrance.
So
to the
it-
subdivision.
and that's fine, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be done right now, but
Sure.
I think if we can look at just that location. Cause it seems like people are permanently parking there,
Well,
that's the
the
extension of
the
the
other one that
house.
came up, I sent Russ a note the other day was people parking boat trailers in the parking lot back behind Stetson. And again, it's the old parking lot that we own. There's an unlicensed, unregistered boat trailer. sitting
I
in that
do
lot.
want a towing contract for that
Yes,
parking lot.
and that,
And with signs, absolutely.
and that's why I say that parking lot in particular, because that's the only lot that we own. I absolutely think we should have some signage on that and a tow.
Okay, let me look, and yeah, I think as long as we contract with the same people the county uses, we don't have to go after.
But now again, I mean, the conditions there, I mean, overnight parking, because Carlisle residents do use that because it's general public parking, and I don't have an issue with that, you know, residents that.
I don't,
The
trailers,
ditching-
buses,
somebody
all those
ditching a
things.
trailer is
I
totally
mean,
different.
No tag on it.
No tag on it,
Okay,
correct. So whatever the reasonable constraints would be, hey, I don't care about
That's-
overnight parking, but you
yeah,
can't have a trailer, you can't have RVs, you can't have box trucks and commercial stuff that is clearly isn't residential things.
okay.
I don't know how you phrase that, but
I will-
Passenger vehicles.
there you go. And if we can just get some emotion on that, do some
No,
signage.
let me find out exactly where we can sign it, because usually it's a whole neighborhood here signing.
But if we're signing up for a contract, then this is gonna cost money, right, to enter into this contract, or is it, we get no money to us, it's all charged to the violator?
Like that.
free.
So the alleyway in North Village, you wanna put 2 or 3 signs up saying no parking?
Well, I think we're
No,
waiting.
not yet, no,
Yeah,
because
we're
if they
waiting for
have to,
Jan
if
to-
it's tow signs, they have to have specific.
Yeah, I won't
Yeah.
say telling, it will just say no parking, and from there we'll go.
Oh, a separate
No,
note.
let's go with the wait for the tow sign. It'll specify the name of the
Yeah, I'll
agency.
wait on that. You put a sign that says Jack says.
Yeah.
On that, see if anybody cares. but-
Jack will
Yeah.
come
Says no parking.
food you.
Right in front of the statute.
Get run over.
I don't know if it's a nice car. might be-
Field manager, what else we got?
That's it.
Only other question I had, Russ, was we talked last meeting, you were getting a quote on a fence for the back area on the K5 lot to go across the road or something. But back behind.
Oh, I
the
wasn't
area
gonna
where
get
there's
a
no-
quote, I was wondering if you guys were okay with it to start with.
Well, yeah, we talked about it last meeting. You're quote.
Okay, I mean, we'll-
Put signs in the campus. I think.
no, I mean, I haven't seen any extra trash dumped there since then.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna try to secure it, right?
When I recall.
Well, the thing is, we're gonna have to, this power company's gonna have access from Reedy Creek and we can put some cattle gates up there and just not lock it and put a chain around it, maybe.
Well,
So we got a light pole right there, just as you come off the asphalt onto the dirt.
I saw your
back there.
picture, you put some.
Yeah, we did put 2 fake
Real
cameras up
cameras.
there and we got a sign saying,
no dumping.
smile, you're on candy camera and no trespassing.
Alright,
Better than nothing.
so that's that.
Oh, I saw that sign.
Now, speaking of that area. Who do you want to get involved? There's so much trash back there and it's not ours at all.
So.
Do we get Jan involved, Mark involved, me involved,
Well, we have to
Matt
know
involved?
whose it is.
It's gotta be. And
Construction debris or-
it's construction debris, trash bags full of stuff, tree limbs, asphalt.
It looks like a dump, so people treat it like a dump,
Yes.
because it looks like crap.
Where's this located again?
This is behind the K5, we're talking about in the baseball.
Do we have
Yeah,
any
It's right
idea?
where you wanna put your baseball field, yeah.
I can't believe we can't secure the area.
Well, we can, but we just need to have a conversation with utility companies and say, hey, we're gonna fence this off because people are dumping a bunch of crap back here.
Yeah, and if you wanna access it, then you can,
Here's the key, here's the code, whatever
and
else.
if that's not good enough.
I think we have to do it because it's just gonna get worse.
Meanwhile.
I mean, until we secure it, I'm not gonna sit here and spend
Money
too much
cleaning
more
up.
by cleaning it up, because people are just gonna go crap on it again.
Well, should we clean it up, cause it's not our stuff?
That's all.
We can talk
It's,
about
we're gonna have to be, how are we
It's
gonna?
all from Academy owned,
Do
Yeah,
we
you know
other
that.
builders,
prove it?
Do we know that?
We don't know that.
Yeah.
We need to secure it.
cause there was no one else back there doing
Well,
asphalt work.
That's obvious, but prove it.
They're gonna say.
There goes the $20,000.
It hasn't been turned over to Bannon yet, it's part of the turnover.
Oh, they can clean it up.
That hasn't been turned over
Yeah,
yet?
they're not happy with us.
Oh, sweet.
They have.
No, we're not happy with them right now.
So, but Leland is on the list, I did
They
send.
put it on the list.
I'll double check if we got it on, if I know to talk to it, I'll make sure it got on the
Did you
list.
send
again.
Casey those?
No, I just sent it to Russ at this point, just in case he wanted to add anything.
Okay, so I like that. Back to the fence. Do we wanna have a conversation about Russ getting a quote for a fence and then having a conversation with utility companies if we're putting up a fence? And here,
If it's not our property yet, I don't think we wanna put a fence.
So wait a minute, so wait, it's,
The property appraiser will show it as ours. We're
Yeah.
probably paying taxes.
We've
because
not
the
accepted.
plat is dedicated to us.
so before we get accepted, they're gonna have to clean it
We haven't
up
got through the formal.
if it's not our property.
We put in the deeds.
Yeah, that was 2
by
minutes ago.
a deed,
Totally missed it. I'm hungry.
so we don't get, so we don't get stuck with all this
We need
stuff
to eat.
now, we do it all by deed after, which is why Madeline's not.
Okay, so then they'll get a deed when it's clean. All right, problem solved. Next,
well, we're still gonna be back to a fence question. at
well,
some
after
point.
we get, it, we can.
After we get, after we,
Wait, is that fence something that we can incorporate with the ball field fencing?
We're gonna, if we do the ball field thing, we're gonna absolutely have to secure that area, because we're gonna have people.
Yeah, but I mean, is that, can we incorporate that fence with the ball field?
I know what
design?
you mean, but
I think you
we just gotta put a cheap fence up.
Okay, and that's all I'm looking for right now is
Well, why don't
$1,000 or $2,000
Let's
when
get
we,
the quote for the fence now, so we're ready.
yeah, so we at least have it and
Do
know.
we
Yeah.
even need to get quote? I mean, how much of a fence are you wanting to put up? I was just
Enough
more or
that
less,
people can't drive back there. You just talked about securing that stub out of the road.
Pretty much.
That's what, and I'm agreeing with you. That what,
couple of calories or something.
Well, a chain.
That
we can-
$1,000
we
You
can do a
wanna
chain
chain link the
fence.
whole thing.
We can chain link a fence, though. I know chain link is prohibited elsewhere.
No, it's easy to
It's
cross.
not prohibited there. I mean, the school just had chain link fence.
Did they take it down?
they just took it down.
Not in the back.
The ball fields have chain link fence on them, but.
We got chain link
Well,
fence on the boulevard.
that's-
You're not using chain link fence.
But that's what I'm saying, we
Yeah.
can't.
We can't. I'm just saying that I want to double check because I know there is a provision out there that chain link fences are prohibited.
Yeah, on design guidelines.
That's not for pole.
Which
That-
don't apply
That's
against
pro
us.
It's tough.
Okay, so yes, I would like to see when we can do a chain link fence. So, okay, so that was gonna be my next question. Where are we at with turnover stuff, Manami bubble? So,
The second phase of turnover, Mark's done an inspection. Matamy's lawyer already called me and said they do not want to get a big long laundry list because they're trying to turn over stuff. And I said, you know, you'll get the list of whatever it is.
nice to want things.
And on the other phase, we're still waiting for the irrigation drawings. I told them we still have that agreement and we're not giving up on it. We can't take a system without the drawings.
I think Tanner with Vandermeer is going to pay Benchmark to do that. The irrigation. is-
Okay,
Cherry Lake is their installer.
Yeah.
They, all right.
but this is still stuff that was under the approval that we gave with the 90-day time limit that
Yes, and I
expired at
told them I
Christmas.
doubted we would be giving them another post-closing agreement.
Well, at what point are we not able to yank a chain here and start?
And then we have been, and that's why they hired someone.
Okay,
You need a fence guy or yeah?
he is the fence guy.
Sure, you can fence that.
Gotta be,
You gotta find out how much.
That'd be
the fence
permitted
we're
here?
gonna put up.
yes, be permitted.
Are we coming from the school?
What fence?
Every
already?
fence has needs a permit. Needs a-
You just go across with you.
You like that responsiveness, Captain Chalmers is calling me. I'm sure he's figured out the answer to one of our two questions.
Wow.
Good, good.
All right, so along the same lines with the turnover, where are we at with the bridge?
They've actually poured the new column for the light.
Okay.
So I guess we just need to put stone on there and then Todd, if he gets a chance next week, he can go down there and spend half a day and see if we can start moving some wires. Make sure we don't have that problem
With the rest of the.
with a couple. I mean,
Okay.
it'll take days to check everyone, but we can check, you know, a couple of them. Unless you want every one of them checked. It's not a 5-minute deal to.
I hate to go down that road, but given the fact we're talking a multi-million-dollar bridge and we don't know what else they jacked up, I kind of feel like we need to do that.
I hate to say it, but I agree. I mean.
I have no reason to think this was just one hole was the issue. We just happened to catch the one hole.
Two lights that are out.
They already did.
I mean, but seriously,
Unless there's another way to test this, guys. I mean, this is.
No,
No, I told their lawyers, because they've called me several times, and I told them, there's no way we're taking that until.
Yeah, and if we're putting out that kind of language, then we need to be following up on it, making
Yes.
sure that we know it all works.
Yeah, we need to know.
I will be unreasonable. No.
They
Okay.
think so.
All right, we seem to have jumped into legal counsel, so.
Okay, yes, I talked
I
about.
didn't even finish my story.
Yeah, I was hoping
Got one that just got smashed all the, you know what?
What is it?
And one of them is completely missing, so the vandalism is kind of starting
Oh, that's
again.
vandalism.
Why is the dog chasing the lady?
What?
Cause she's got a bone in her hand. The dog's hungry.
What are we doing?
Have you seen that picture?
No, I've never seen that.
Yeah, that's when it starts.
3 ballots broken around.
I have a comment to that too.
Russ,
Walked right into that one.
Russ, where's this damage at? This is Lake Reinhardt, this is Artisan Park, condo area in the back.
Spring break.
But these are physically like, man, baseball bats.
Purposely, yeah,
Did you see the ones that are west of the apartments? That's the spring lake. I turned in.
where Vander is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have sent us pictures of that, yeah.
Are those
They're
are,
all looking for some parts and pieces of where they buy and all that stuff.
are those are the ones in Vander ours or is that?
No, Vander's not, these are.
Okay, sorry.
Do you need permission to replace them, or you just go blur this?
Al's already does when he
Go fix it.
I just wanted.
Would this be on the blotter that we get?
What's that?
Would this be on the
If we
blotter? that
report
we
it,
just
please.
reported?
We can report it. Oh,
I think we should.
I think we should be reporting it. Listen, guys, I mean, it's the same thing we tell all the residents. The cops aren't gonna come out here and increase patrols unless reports are done.
and we
We're
just
gonna
got
vandalism
this
on our stuff, we need to report.
yesterday, so I'll get just sending it.
Yeah.
Jeff, our street sweeping personnel has gone down Waterside Drive today about 9 in the morning and noticed the guy blowing all their leaves out into the road
From Sienna,
from Sienna.
I've noticed.
Okay,
Sienna,
so I was,
Just went and talked to the management company. And basically, the management company.
Yeah.
You guys are doing it to us, we're gonna do it to you. Our guys do not blow leaves back into their.
I've got their board president's contact information. I will reach out to him and say, obviously, there's a miscommunication. Because I have seen their landscaping folks do that as well.
and
Those leaves are gonna stay out there and you're gonna clean them up. Yeah.
yeah, because the island is full of leaves. It's they're blowing it over. And the other thing is they're not even cleaning out their curbs. I mean, boy, they got so much leaves going all over the curb line. It's ridiculous. They don't even touch it.
So I got with Jose today, and I said, you give it all you got on the damn sure before we point fingers at them, but we're not blowing anything on it.
Yep.
Never have and don't plan.
And they always, this is not the first time.
Oh,
They
no.
complain all the time.
Well, they've got some
Problems.
Yes,
Honestly, I don't care what we did. Their people need to obey the rules.
Yeah. Yeah, we can call it county, maybe, county violations for doing that, and we had the storm drain and all that stuff. I just did the calendar for the street sweeping, so there's gonna be 2 extra sweepings this year. Don't ask why, I just kind of 2 more Fridays than last year, or whenever it started, or something, you wouldn't think, it's 52 weeks in the year, but. I just took the different dates, like the 2nd of 2023, February 2nd, well, I looked on the calendar. It was a Friday, and it might have been the 3rd. so-
February, end of February is a good month, and then what's the other time? October, November, good times.
we need to, and this is something for Jasenius and whoever would like to take this to her. We need to be better about communicating out when we're deviating from that schedule, because people are trying to move their cars out of their way. Including my mother-in-law, who yells at me about who has that damn street sweeper under contract. And she knows who it is, so she yells at me, because we don't know that they're coming on Thursday or Saturday or whatever instead of Friday, so that's something we should absolutely do.
Well, let me address that because our website doesn't even show that. Okay, we're out of date on the website as far as.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's why we're updating.
Well, the updating needs to happen, number one, and number two, the deviations. Putting out a Facebook post and putting out a My Celebration, we need to start using that push function on My Celebration on the app. That's why it's there. We need to start using that, and that's exactly the kind of stuff we need to support. So is that Jaseni or who would do an all blast?
That's probably just in it.
I'm just start working that.
Or we could have our temporary signs that you put out a day before that says street sweeping tomorrow.
It's a lot easier just to go into frequency.
I know it's a lot easier, but it's not effective. So if you really want to get it done, that's what when I was in an urban environment, they would post a sign the day before. It says, well, we're gonna tell you if you're starts here.
Yeah.
Because we're sweep this.
That's due to weather too.
You did one in
Last
February.
Friday it rained, so. It's free. So,
Yeah, but it takes effort, $2 a sign, put one that says streets with tomorrow. Put it out 24 hours before.
And where we're gonna put these signs at?
We put it in the verge along the street.
Every street out here or what?
We can do
Just
door-
asking.
Door hangers.
Can't do door
Street
hangers.
sweeping, they're doing the whole community in one day.
Well, that's where I say, if you do it as you do as a push on my celebration, you can tag, whether it's a particular village or particular street or whatever, you can put whatever commentary you need to in there as opposed to.
There was one in February, I just checked.
Do we have all the same email addresses that Crowa has?
No.
It's not an email address based, it's when you load it on the app, you'll get a push to the
You
app.
get a
and then pop up.
notification. I understand, but
Yes, we have a database of email addresses that we are starting to.
but it's not as large as Crowa's.
No,
So why don't we tell Crowa the same information and have it posted as well?
Like a Monday Matters or
Monday
Friday
Matters.
Flash.
Because they do not even tell about our meetings.
Well,
I think we can improve a lot of this.
Yes.
I think we can.
and yes, I'm fine with pushing out to Crowa. Yes, more importantly, now that we've got both a Facebook page and an app that everybody should be signing up for, the more we push people to a Crowa notice, the less they're gonna come into the app. If we keep saying, go to the app, go to the app.
And
go to the app,
everybody
it's gonna
has,
drive people to it.
everybody has fun.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I'm just saying, well, in the interim, until we build this up as much as we want.
Yep.
You know, I would take advantage of.
The more
Crowa's.
people on Facebook are seeing, hey, you would have known that the street sweeper wasn't coming by on Friday, it was coming on Saturday if you downloaded the app.
They do call people out on that. Very quickly. Cause you can get all your info that way.
Well, there's plenty of examples of not working. You can see the outlines up and down the street. Where
Uh,
we're gonna run.
Well, I emailed Jeff because it was like white lines dragging around, because there was something caught up in his machine.
Okay.
Our vehicles parked there.
Yep.
I clean up my booth.
All right, any other field management stuff?
Two things real quick, palm tree trimming will be mid-April, it's already scheduled.
That's on the boulevard.
And then,
Is that the night? Okay,
again,
again,
we'll
let's-
get the one complaint from the one guy.
and we always get, again, let's use the app and push out a notification ahead of time. We will be doing palm tree trimming at night, so everybody be prepared, blah, blah, blah.
And when you say night, is this like 2 AM?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we do that? I don't know. That's a great.
No,
It's-
so,
it's for
But
the
seriously,
safety.
we've already got proposals to do it in the daytime, and I think it's like $8,000 or $9,000 a trim.
Now, that's a different.
no, I understand that, but don't we have? Aren't there county sound ordinances?
They're using, battery operated saws. Very quiet,
So it's not loud.
it's not like a gas powered.
I'm just wondering because
No,
it's 7 to 7.
Just as much of the complaints that I have seen, if I recall right, were the trucks out there with flashing lights as opposed to the sound. If I remember right, it was both.
Well,
We
yeah.
can't,
Well, the one that's piercing is when they back up the truck. So if
Yeah.
we can avoid the beep beeps from
Well,
backing up.
it's one night that they're out there, I mean.
Well, it's not, well, it's one night, certain section.
Correct.
so you will hear that multiple nights.
No, you should only hear it one
Number
time.
one, 'cause you're not gonna hear it all the way down the boulevard.
Possibly when they come back down the road, it got real good ears, I don't
Okay.
hear them on the other side.
I mean, to your point.
Why do they have to back up? That's what I can't understand.
I don't know. I'm
I
not
can't
out there
understand how
at night
any
when they're
truck
going.
keeps backing up. Sound.
Are they backing up a lot?
Legal counsel questions. What else we got?
Well, we're not done with
No, I
questions.
One more thing real quick, North Village, we had a request of granting a couple sidewalks on Parlor. And, one guy came out and basically just about, you know what, with our guys and said, you ain't freaking touching these sidewalks, you're not grinding, you're not getting dust on my house, blah, 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 all that, so I just wanna let you know, tomorrow we're gonna go out there and grind again, so.
We put a sign out.
We don't need to put a sign out, the guy just refuses for us to grind the sidewalk.
It's not the
Even if we
Yeah,
did door
it's not
hangers,
this
Russ
side.
would do a door hanger.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to eliminate at least one objection.
So. Just
So-
so you know, I don't care, he can come into the office tomorrow,
Yeah, you can handle the slippery balls.
yeah,
Out of control.
Anything else?
I'm done.
I got, radar. I'm surprised you didn't ask about, are we getting a radar sign?
I didn't open the email, but I got something from them today, so I imagine it's probably like it's coming your way.
Right.
Background checks, that's great.
All right, Jan.
My turn, other than wanting to know what that sign is for. The,
270 up Celebration Avenue.
okay, the insurance, like insurance claims, we've had a bunch of emails and work back and forth. Russ got to answering interrogatories on the chair one, where the person fell back in the chair. And had some questions on another one, just on ownership of sidewalks and who else we can say had maintenance obligations. Other stuff, it's been just busy with a lot of little stuff. We did a quick temporary easement for Duke. This is the one where the pond, the easement for Duke goes over the pond. So they want another easement, but they need to go in and survey it, so we gave temporary assurance for that. Mattamy, the question here was about the franchise fees for Island Village. Mattamy did not request any.
Franchise fees.
Yeah, you from Duke, or doing the franchise agreement with Duke.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mattamy gave directly to the county, so I don't know our legal basis, but we will try to get it in contract. There was nothing drafted or included plats or in Mattamy's discussions with them.
Should be with the gas company too, correct? Because they're all gas.
We will, yeah, we will, without saying a whole lot more on the record, we will investigate. And on that topic, Enterprise agreed to work with us and have the same form of agreement that we are.
I'm sorry, you're gonna need to start over on this one for me one more time. So on the extensions for the gas lines where they're going residential, where we should be getting easement.
This is Duke, the one that we're talking about was with Duke, but apparently in Island Village, there was no discussions at all when they put the law.
Okay,
So we will try to get those added to the agreements.
I thought you said something about they were going to the county.
The roads going,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought okay, I was misunderstanding. Okay, got it.
the roads went to the county with
Now,
CDD.
I thought I
reserved
understood,
easements.
and then I didn't when you said
Just-
that.
I thought you were saying the money was going to the
The
county.
C- no,
That's
no,
much
the
different.
CDD
Yeah.
reserved easements and the rest of Celebration, we do not have any part of the development back there. So
So,
it may be a question, but we will work with.
so is it a question that obviously they're not paying it to Mattamy, they're just not paying it to anybody?
They're not paying attention,
Okay,
which happens in most of the county. But we just let you know that I did research that, so we will see if there is any way to recoup that and get it back into our.
and at least going forward, I mean, is that, where does that even get injected into the process?
It would be when they ask for the easements to reserve them for the CDD as opposed to developer.
Okay.
Or however they draft them, or they probably just do them directly.
So are you saying that ship has already sailed for phase 2?
Potentially, yes, but again, we'll see what we can do since we are talking with Duke on that one that has the termination date.
Okay,
So, and that Duke is in the process of drafting the agreement for us and Enterprise together, since we said we wanted the same agreement we had
Right.
last time.
was that a responsibility of Mattamy to do that, or was that a responsibility of us to do that? Initially,
It isn't done in most communities. So Mattamy probably never thought about it.
is this something we can add to the checklist of love letters?
I'm gonna talk to Duke first and see if we can just get it out.
Okay.
Other stuff, worked with bond counsel on a couple issues that came up on the, community center, talked to the sheriff a bunch, and then worked with, been trying to push on the Motorola, the new LPR cameras, getting those up. So we sent over an agreement today. Hopefully we'll get that done. The sheriff, we need to amend our interlocal with sheriff because they're the ones who use the LPR cameras. And again, having trouble getting their counsel to answer, so we're trying to push them to get it. But there is a contact on that email trail who's been helping, so I think we'll get that. So hopefully that'll be soon, as cameras installed.
You were on the bond council, there was a, I'd asked
The
the
question
question.
was PROA,
Yes,
private use.
yes,
There's ways we can probably work through it if we need to have some private use of
okay.
the facility.
But I mean, particularly that they would, conceptually be giving us the land from 851,
Yes.
that there's now value, we're not just giving it to
Yeah,
private
it,
citizens.
it would be an appraised value of the land and work
Right.
for an equivalent value.
Value,
of that. We
okay.
could probably get a good tax opinion.
Okay,
That's it for most of some other little stuff.
you sent that after the last meeting, feedback in your benches and trees policy, did you get any back? I started drafting it and
I
then I
didn't get any feedback and I realized that and forgot I was gonna resend it. I just forgot, so I'll resend it out and remind everybody. It's me.
Okay, so we can. Yep, I started to write something, I didn't. Is it too late? Cause I know we need additional notice. Does that have to be like 2 meetings out or do we go ahead?
No,
and
this
notice
is
it?
just a policy and we're not gonna make a formal, I don't think, formal.
Okay,
This will just be a policy, so we have an actual plan of how people are donating to
Yeah.
CDD and paying the costs and we treat everybody the same.
okay, well, it's definitely targeted to have
Okay,
that
I'll
done
resend
next
that.
meeting. Okay. Any other questions for Jan?
Anything new in eminent domain?
Yeah, they met with the engineer consultant and had some questions and Mark helped a lot pulling together a bunch of information on the stormwater permits and some of the plans. So we sent that over to them. So they should hopefully in the next month have a counter offer on all the offers.
What does
Forgot
that,
about that.
does that give us an estimated completion? And the reason I ask, I mean, it was, I think about a month ago, they came out with a huge thing in the Sentinel about the I-4 expansion. They were waving their arms in the air saying, look, we're gonna do it in 10 years instead of 25.
No, ours are already in place. Ours is stuff that's planned and they're taking property.
Well, I know, but the
Ours will have-
fact that they're actually moving on this stuff as opposed to, hey, 2 decades from now.
Yeah, no, they're moving on this part.
Okay,
Yeah, this is, I mean, by the time they're taking property, they already have design plans and they're already generally funded.
so in this fiscal year, realistic to expect that we'll be done with this?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
That's how we're funding Jack's statue.
And new signs.
Sidewalks.
Wait, let's prioritize this.
I just did.
Anything else for Jan? Any other questions? Dave?
Good.
Engineer?
There's a couple hopeful quick things, talked about the phase 1A, 1B and Island Village turnover. I have, like I said, I generated a punch list that shared with Russ, just to give a quick eyeball too. Jan, you mentioned that they weren't expecting long lists. I've got plus items on each, so
Sounds short to me.
Okay.
what do they expect? They said they don't want a long list.
No, I think their lawyers just hired us.
We're tired of that. Only
Yeah.
3 more phases to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I
So-
said. You had to sign off, but it was all complete according to plans. And board wouldn't
I mean, listen, I don't want to be a bad partner, but I'll say this seriously on the record. I appreciate you guys digging into this stuff because if not, 20 years from now, 10 years from now, we're gonna be finding all sorts of snakes under the rock. So
I just don't want stuff to come up a year or 2 years later, oh,
We didn't
this
look
is
at it.
missing.
100%.
Damaged, I don't have to spend money.
Yeah. I'd much rather you guys be the bad cops than.
Second thing is Spring Park fencing. Russ got an email from a homeowner, basically. Almost accusing the CDD that it was our fault that their house got robbed the second time. It's the path that goes from Spring Lake behind Spring Park in South Village. and then Pops out into the.
Oh, yeah, I know. This is an old issue.
The dirt road, yeah. So I think we had looked at it.
That pops up back of Sienna.
So there's
Kind of, it does could go
Yeah.
connects to that Sienna and.
Yeah.
Spring Park Loop, whatever that may be.
Spring Park Loop.
There's no expectation of fencing and security.
So.
This came up a while ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always the,
Pathways all over town.
So, the original fence the TCC built only went down to a certain distance and then there's like 2 or 3 more houses on the curve. Now that the CDD is allowing that trail to be used more, it's.
How we allow
Yeah, that's probably,
used at all.
how the CDD falls.
We're not
So-
allowing anybody to use that trail, they just do.
Well, it's a trail. It's supposed to be.
Well, it's
The dirt trail.
not really,
It's half.
it's not a design
It's
trail.
half dirt, half sidewalk.
So that's the issue. I think we've already gone through this and we're not putting a fence up.
I say if he wants to put it up and match what's there, then fine with us. Right? No?
Yeah.
so the problem is that as they've created this issue now. Because once you go ahead and start adding the fence, you acknowledge that there was a problem. right? And so, because this has been going on for a long time, and ask for the extension of that. Can't add anything,
I'm
that's
trying
the
to,
way it is.
I'm having trouble having visualizing exactly what we're talking.
I know
about.
exactly.
No, 'cause I know where we're at, I'm just not talking.
All right, so if you take the path from Spring Park Loop,
Blue, yeah.
you have a fork.
Yeah.
One fork goes to Sienna, the other fork goes to Spring
The right
Lake.
goes to Sienna, yeah.
Take the long path down to Spring Lake,
Yeah.
and then you hit another fork. Make it right, there's a dirt path that goes straight.
Sidewalk.
Okay, I was on there.
And you know, it's gonna be hard to.
Okay, yeah, I need to.
There's a couple houses right here, the fence I think goes along here and it stops.
Yeah.
You've got a trail that connects to Spring Park and comes in and pops out here and pops out there.
I encourage you guys to look at it, I go through this all the time, but, there's no way we should get in the fence business, that's a non-starter for me, and we've talked about
Sounds
this
good.
before, and we don't need to bring it back up, but
But is there, you're saying there's like a half sidewalk there?
that's the problem I want to discuss, is that area has that cut through, I don't know why it was there in the first place, but it's where everybody's taking their bikes and their dogs and what they're running and they're cutting across.
Gary does it all the time.
No, it's just a dirt cut through because there's no vegetation there. And because over 10 or 15 years, that dirt path is now 15 feet wide.
It's a shorter shortcut too, it's a straight shot.
Yeah, that-
Boardwalk, you gotta kind of.
That needs to be improved.
You could, like put a whole line of plants. in.
Or, yes, either you block it off
Block it off.
for no good reason, just put a dang sidewalk.
But go by and look at it, just the dirt path.
You wanna put a sidewalk there? No,
No,
Why not?
It'd be probably 500 feet long, if not longer.
Pretty long run, you know.
Yeah, you have to go around the pond and
Just
hook up
runs
to the other
into the
sidewalk.
No, it runs into a sidewalk on the other end.
It's probably original.
Yeah, there's a sidewalk there and there's a dirt path and then there's a continuous.
Russ, can you take some pictures, please, for next month? So
it
that
doesn't
we-
connect to the
Again?
sidewalk.
Oh,
Yeah.
well played, sir.
There is no way
I
that
know.
stop these.
Jack's head.
I don't know. if it's getting-
I'll do a little picture or a little quick video.
Okay.
So that's, yeah, it looks like it's unfinished.
After the hurricane, the tree fell across the middle of the path. Somebody cut the tree down.
No, people were complaining about the tree being there.
Right, but there used to be a tree this big around that stretched across it after the hurricane in 2017.
Yeah. Remember that.
Yeah, and the last thing is, Marisol, Dory Moyer sent an email to Russ, sent it on to me, regarding pond where we've got magical tile of debris forming. The back side of it up against Marisol, they've got a sidewalk along their building. I guess she's getting some mixed signals from the various landscape companies that they work with internally, saying that the CD is supposed to maintain it, Russ is saying we never maintained it. CD used to have an irrigation when it was a field, then it was built. So she was just looking for clarification. I was able to dig up the condo books that have a pretty clear survey showing,
You're talking about the drain that runs right along the edge of the sidewalk there?
no, the pond tract of that skinny,
Oh,
all the canna lilies in it.
yeah, okay.
The backside of it, between the water and Marisol building, there's a sidewalk. Residents have the buildings, the property line is a few feet onward of that sidewalk. The CB owns the contract, but the CB's never maintained that track. Irrigation is part of Marisol's irrigation system.
Wasn't this
she
part
was-
of there was a drain question that came up a couple months ago, same area there, where it kind of splits
No,
off.
actually, no,
That's on the other
that's
side.
almost
Okay.
not completely opposite ends, but quite a ways.
So Russ had sent it to me just looking for my take on it. I don't know if the next step is just going back to Dory and saying CD hasn't maintained it, isn't planning on maintaining it.
It's got private irrigation on
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
But it is CDD land.
Why is there private irrigation?
When they built it, they put in sidewalk, redid the slope, the bank and trees and all that stuff.
So is this?
And we have not maintained any of it at any time.
And it's Marisol's irrigation system.
Yes.
So
So
if they don't maintain it, we just rip it all out.
that was my next step.
They obviously improved our land without any permission.
Right.
Well, this is like these in front of your house though.
Well, it'd be like all the golf course tracks. There's a lot of them, we do the front and the golf course does the back. But we don't, even though the
There's-
easement goes all the way around the pond.
the reality is they have irrigation then you should just maintain it,
That's-
and we're just gonna leave it the way it is. That's how it was developed. If you wanna make, if they wanna make it more complicated, I'm going with Jan, gonna rip it all up. Or it's not, and then we'll maintain.
Like a stormwater pond.
Right, I mean, what are the options, really? I mean,
Yeah.
that they're making an issue now. This is petty.
On their irrigation.
They made an issue with the sidewalk back a couple years ago, and Gary Moyer actually paid out of his pocket to get the sidewalk surveyed in that area, and found out it was
It's
theirs.
theirs.
All right, any questions for Mark? Or Mark, did you have anything else? Sorry.
Nope, that's all I need to. That's-
Are you still pending answers back from the other gas companies on the K5 line?
Yes, from Kinder, not gotten anything back from them. That was the one that originally sent us that long
Yeah.
list of all kinds of crazy stuff. So I've got to follow line up with them, and then People's Gas, which is the gas line on the Zip Todd property.
Okay. Any other questions for Mark?
I got about 25 to 30 minutes with stuff.
Oh, you see what time it is? Look at you guys, you're 25 minutes right here.
Liaisons, Mr. Hume.
Right, nothing further.
Couple things, we talked about the management review, so everybody will have those in for next month's meeting, please get those in the next 2 weeks, so we can get them posted, and also, well. Let's really get them in the next, by next Friday. Last year, we had given time for Angel and if need be Chris to respond to them before they end up getting posted, so.
So
I'll make
let's,
sure-
next
yeah,
Friday.
Next Friday, let's have those in.
I'm saying next Thursday, because Friday.
Brenda, can you resend that? I'm having trouble finding it.
Yes, I will. I will do that after y'all conclude your meeting, if that's any incentive.
Wow.
Sorry. I couldn't resist.
Nobody gets a big Christmas bonus. That's what I wrote.
See,
No worries. Yes,
thing
I will
number
send them all.
thank you. Security cameras, I had started the process, we talked about, we have it in the budget for doing security cameras around, I just honestly have not had the time. But I think we've got a little bit of a lull here in some of the actions, so I'll try to get back and tackle those. I did, Tom Ball was giving some great advice, I know we walked through with, Carrie and Russ, so I think we've got, Tom's given me enough information, I need to sit there and chew through the information, he's given me a couple vendors. Sheriff's Department is giving me the input, the Sheriff's Department is gonna give me as far as recommendations on location, so I feel good at where we're at, so the next step would be taking. So if we want to. I was looking for more guidance, if you would like me to take that list and go ahead and send it to the vendors and get a quote, and then bring that back, because we would have to schedule a shade meeting in order to approve that. Or do we want a shade meeting in advance so you guys can understand the laydown that I sent, that I put together before we go out to quote? How would you guys like it?
What's quicker?
We can just put an agenda item in the shade on the meeting,
And just have it as an offline portion of a regular
Yes.
meeting? Okay, even better. That's okay.
just to be advertised, that, it just has to be advertised that way, so we have to have some.
Okay, so,
I'll also do that.
okay, but would you guys like to see the locations before we put it out to RFP?
Yes.
Okay,
I would.
okay, then I'll put that in the next meeting so we can get that.
I think we want input on the locations. Here, when.
Yeah, no, I'll put it in for the next, so we'll have to make sure the next meeting has a shade section to it.
Shade.
Our shades.
Real slim. Last thing, just a reminder again, get your budget requests
Get your
in.
buzzers.
Get your buzzers.
Jeez.
Get your budget.
I'm not going to that meeting.
I would again encourage everybody, let's be judicious this year in budget requests. The only one I'm putting in is the legal compliance one for street vehicles, non-street vehicles, ATV, stuff like that. I think we're gonna be spending more than enough. We're serious about this community center approach.
No, I will tell you, a lot of stuff's in motion.
Hmm.
We would try to go ahead and see, you know, what can get done and get the estimates. But we're not looking for sizable stuff. I think sidewalks are gonna be a serious discussion.
Huge one.
We've already done a lot of furniture. I know we have some more to go, but I mean, some stuff's already in play, because we kind of figured out it was gonna be 2 years.
Yep.
I don't expect to have any.
Okay. And again, up to everybody to submit whatever they like, but that's.
No, I think
my
we should,
approach is gonna be
I
very-
think
very
we
slim
should.
this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we.
Yeah.
We're looking at. See.
Okay. Jack?
Yeah, I got a meeting April 4th with Don McDonald for, we talked about transferring some of those, plots of land that are in Artisan Park that, we have no use for. It's just, we have the easement and they, Crow owns all the entire center of that stuff. So those two plots and also the one at Charleston Place, I want to talk about transferring that to, Crow as well. If there's any other areas that we need to
I
to
think there
do,
are, I think there are.
send it to me, or get it to the Angel and send it to me then. And this is just
Great joint.
This is just the beginning of the discussion, so we got time to get it done.
Okay.
I don't. The other thing we talked about in 2 meetings, and I thought it was with Jan, but I can't remember. We were talking the challenges we've had with people damaging sidewalk, companies damaging sidewalks, or us not getting notification.
Yeah,
Were you writing a policy?
yeah, that was the one we're gonna need a rule, I mean, actual
Okay.
adopt the rule, but I should have something in the next meeting.
So do we need to go ahead and
They-
notice that
Yeah,
cycle wise?
no, we need to look at it and approve the draft, and then we notice it for a hearing like a month,
Okay.
the issue I'm just having is enforcement. I'm trying to come up with a way to enforce. 'Cause that is the limitation of the city's powers.
We'll tell them.
And we'll tell them the second time.
We'll throw them to the CCD lot.
Yeah.
Again.
Gotta put a fence around the CCD lot.
That's right.
They'll send the buzzards.
Send the buzzard.
But I think it's you,
Yeah.
as you engage your
Yes.
conversation with Don, letting him know that that's something Jan's working on. Because a lot of that, I think, is either Crow's vendors or Crow's surface area vendors that are causing some of these issues, so. They want to give them a forewarning, we're working on a formal rule that may be enforced against Crow if we. Don't get
Okay.
proper notifications
All right.
or repairs. All right, anything else? Sorry. That was it. All right, last thing, discussion item, conversations with Osceola County, did Brenda send out the mosquito?
Yeah,
notice? Yeah,
It's at the back,
Yeah.
okay,
this was in response, we had sent a letter to the county saying, hey, by the way, we've been paying for this all these years.
yeah,
And they said
so,
if we terminate, they would gladly take over under the same terms as everybody else in Osceola.
I don't know if they use the word gladly. but-
Gladly, which is, but it's not the same as service.
No,
we're getting.
I mean, it's, the bottom line on this, if you read through all the shenanigans, if they do it on a call basis, you have to call and complain, and then they send a guy, the maybe test, and it's sort of with calls, blah, blah, so.
That's almost getting like no service, because that's not how you
Exactly.
take care of.
But the county, we're a poor county, remember?
I agree with you, so
I don't agree.
do we, I have separately sent a request to meet with Mr. Fisher. I haven't had a meeting with him, so I think just in general, it's good, particularly with some of the other outstanding items. Again, I look at these as exactly what I told Peggy Chowdhury. There's a list of 12 items. I would like to get some acknowledgement of something, like there needs to be some give and take here. The only thing we've gotten out of that entire list was roads that they already had planned 4 years ago that they were gonna repave, but all of a sudden they said, oh, this is a win for, because we're repaving these roads, which they were doing anyway. So I still plan on having that conversation with him, just not feeling like we're really flipping our due.
I don't know what we get, because they rarely repave,
We still haven't gotten, they were gonna do out of, what was the wording, out of cycle, out of something, out of the
I think
norm.
they said they were gonna look into it.
There was gonna be some sort of assessment, and if that assessment was a guy sitting at his desk, sort of staring at the screen, I don't really know. That they were gonna look at the top 10 or 15 roads that Russ had sent over and saying, hey, these are the top 10 of the community. They promised they would have some sort of response within a few months. It's about a few months, so that'll be something I'll bring back up, but. I mean,
well, there's a good thing that comes out of this discussion, because every year people go ahead and comment, we should be fighting for this, we should be fighting for that.
Yeah.
And really, to go ahead and see, okay, so if you wanna go ahead and have the reimbursement for county stuff, you get this, which is nothing. This is what they're willing to give us, which is nothing. At least there's a narrative there, at the very
Listen,
least.
I feel, if nothing else, for a personal feel-good win that we terminated the mosquito agreement, because I think that was most asinine and weird waiver of any responsibility that we seem to be giving the county on the full knowledge that the county doesn't give a shit. So I feel glad that the county now feels like they need to, do something, and I don't know that I feel an obligation if they're not gonna try to come up to the conversation and match us on some sort of give a shit factor. Let them worry about whatever comes out of that. So, continue to try to build some bridges there. We'll see where it goes. I just didn't know if anybody had any other opinion. I mean, that, if we're getting into, what I told Peggy was, hey, between the mosquito piece and also the street sweeper, we're paying $90-something thousand a year to clean their roads. And the last response I got back from the county was, well, they're your trees, so we're gonna.
That's not how it works.
I don't know if they used the words "we're gonna sue you," but I think it was kind of along those lines. If we didn't clean the roads, I thought
Most counties and cities, you're lucky if you get once a year. I mean, that's standard for counties. and cities.
well, then give me mine once a year. And that's my
I mean,
point.
That's
is-
what, yeah.
And we'll tell you
That's
when,
important.
Yeah.
second week of March, come on by.
Yeah. So
My neighborhood, they do it real good.
anyway, the intent of this was going into budget season. I
It's only 12.
personally, I felt like we needed to go through it on $250,000 of stuff that honestly I think the county should be contributing some to, whether or not they do or not. I feel like we're doing as much as we can, to beat the door a little bit and try to get our costs down and get some sort of fair share. I don't know what we're gonna get, but we do. Yeah. All right, any other comments?
So on the county side, just FYI, I'm having discussions with their transportation department, who is having discussions with the school board and the high school principal, particularly about the intersection of Ward Drive and Celebration
Is that
Boulevard.
getting any traction?
That was, he notified me that they had a meeting earlier this month, or they were planning on having, but then went dark. So. I heard,
And meanwhile, I didn't realize that in front of the sign, that grass is getting torn up. The deputy parks on the grass
yes,
every time.
that's true.
So, I mean, really, at this point, we just
The
gotta put all the
meeting.
cement down.
You're talking that meeting at the end of World Drive?
The
plan
in front of the sign, right in front of the planter.
Oh, yeah, that's
I don't
when,
know how he gets in there, but.
but
he
that's when
managed-
that's when they're manipulating the stop, like,
Yeah, with the pickle. I get that. But the reality is there's still,
his park somewhere, not in the street.
Get a motorcycle guy to do it.
there you go. He's busy.
He was
I
in there yesterday.
appreciate them.
He's out there sweeping
Stop
leaves.
But in any case, if you get somebody to respond.
That was not on my list of 12 things. We did have the traffic light. They were gonna supposedly redo their analysis for
Oh, the library,
the library light. So
all right,
anyway, I will re-engage those with Mr. Fisher as the meeting becomes available.
but yeah, that's something that Don has authority over, though, is it's a capital project for whatever they wanna do at the intersection of Ward Drive and Celebration Boulevard, but they need to get out there, but finish whatever study they're.
It's looking bad.
That's
It's just, everything's falling apart.
Well, we had Russ and Mark took a look at the drainage there of right at the end of the island of World Drive, because it was completely underwater after a rain, and I've seen that a dozen times.
That happens, yeah.
Well, Russ cleaned out one of the drains, and all of a sudden, if you go by now after it rains, I'm not noticing any drain. It was just drainage.
I think it was in.
I mean, when you turn right on the World
But
Drive?
it looked terrible, so I took the
Right
picture
there.
of the San
So
Jose
right as
County.
you're coming down World Drive and you hit right at the edge where a lot of times people didn't turn, so you
Right.
get back on the floor.
That needs to be poured with concrete.
Yes.
Well, and that was one of my comments, is that end cap should be concreted in with the curb.
Is that end cap? Who owns that end cap?
We do.
We do.
And that's something we could,
I think we're gonna have to do it.
do
Because
we,
it's now become very dangerous. That sidewalk is gonna get undermined.
well,
That's our sidewalk.
that was something I had posed to them as to whether or not we were able to do it with staff, or if we needed to contract it out or whatever else. I mean, is that something we want to pursue?
I think so.
Put on your budget list.
Something tells me we're gonna need county permission.
Put it on your list. Make it-
Yeah,
Put it
for
clean.
the county.
Well, yeah,
How do you do it?
well, yeah, okay. So
It's a real
Wait
interesting,
a month.
it's a real interesting section. I was looking at the plats with our surveyor. And back of sidewalk on the outside, like in front of McDonald's, and the other side, CDD owns, according to the plats. But you look at the surveys that are part of the plats, somehow they platted CDD tracks on top of DOT right of way. So We were looking at it because they show westerly right away line of I-4, it comes into, there's jogs that you can match between the surveys, and we couldn't figure out how they did it. But the intent was obviously for it to be CBD, so. But I think you still be able to start with the county. Say it's part of the county road and see if they can fill that in, put a curb there.
Okay, I mean, I'll ask the county.
It's not a bad
Try
idea.
to start digging into that mess.
I mean, with the,
Yeah, if it's on the plat, the county will go with it.
so I'm sorry, I just missed the comment. Do you think the county will actually say, hey, yeah, that's ours, we need to take care of it? If that's the case, I would roll it into Dave's
That's
compensation.
what I took
Yeah.
those pictures and I sent them, like, you guys need to fix this. So as part of their plan, here's what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
I'd
think,
put it on
in the
them, but they'll
meantime,
dig into it and say that, hey, it's not ours.
Well, the drainage seems to have fixed, because you pulled off what you said, like an inch or two of asphalt that just accumulated, so that may have been a short-term fix, but like needs to be longer term. Whatever.
Fine, for the bulldogs.
Cool. All right, any other comments?
Quick question. Already contacted a structural engineer. Is there a budget for this? Is there a do not to exceed?
I think we'd approved 15,000 is what we'd approved for the roof.
Yeah.
I think
There's a budget already.
we'd approved it up to 15,000.
Yeah, there's probably a signed agreement somewhere.
Well, but I mean, as far as getting an external engineer, we had
Yeah.
approved it, I thought. Brendan, if you can double check that for Gary, I mean, it's probably 5 or 6 meetings ago.
Here, the scope is not really structural, but threshold.
Yeah.
As for water.
Yeah, I explained to him what it was. I'm just asking.
He'll be out here tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be out. He's got nothing else to do.
All right, any public comments on the line, Brendan?
No, just me, but I do want to clarify with Jan, before, whenever we've had a shade meeting or what we call a closed executive session, we note on the record who is allowed to be at that meeting, and I advertise that in the newspaper. Jan, do we still need to do that on the record? For example, you, the manager, the board.
There's a difference for security. I'll get with you tomorrow on it.
Okay. So we don't have to we just make the announcement that we're having one and you will give me the ad.
I'll talk through, you can do the ad, but I'll talk it through with you tomorrow. I'll
Okay.
call you.
Cool, thanks. That's all.
Motion to go home.
so moved.
Second.
Move.
All those in favor?
All right.
All right.
Not in
Thanks,
favor.
everybody.
All right, thank you.